putting the dick back in Dictator. This is the New World Order Now broadcast, coming to you live from the end of the world.
Welcome once again, my friends, to the New World Order broadcast. I am your host, the Hatman, and this is your other host, Talking Head number 6. We are coming to you live from the end of the world, and I had a theory that I wanted to talk to you about. And I thought it would be fun to do it while we're recording, so we can share it with everybody who's not watching.
Yeah, exactly. All those people. Yep.
The non-existent
gotta
audience.
Get it in for them.
Yeah. So we can get our non-existent ad revenue. Because I do think I've only heard this expressed by one other person ever online. And I thought of it first. You're just going to have to take my word for that.
Gotcha.
But it's an interesting idea. Basically, my idea revolves around the fact that, or the other idea, if you don't think it's a fact, that we do actually exist under a ruling class that I like to call the uniparty.
Mm-hmm. You've used that term before, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a T-shirt out of that. They bifurcate the narrative to create the illusion that there are two camps you can find yourself in. You're either conservative or you are liberal.
Yeah.
And both of them have systemically opposing ideologies by necessity, because that's how you create energy. So if you believe in this one thing, you fall into this camp. If you believe in the other thing, you fall into that camp. And all the while, the same people are in charge. It really doesn't matter. And I don't think, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this if anybody was watching, so I might as well say it now. I don't think it matters who you vote for. I really think, and I think I said this in the previous podcast, Joe Rogan probably said this better than me. I've said all along that I think politics and politicians are a lot like the WWE. The athletes are in it to win it. I think they're fully invested. Sometimes they get hurt. But at the end of the day, it's all performance to get attention, and attention equals money. Money equals power. So they're playing almost the same game. And I've brought up this quote before. Washington is Hollywood for ugly people. And I've brought up the saying, energy flows where attention goes.
Yeah.
So I personally think that's what's happening with the narrative that we're being presented through social media, which is the most popular media, and legacy media, which is still pretending it's relevant, is that the narrative is meant to push you into one of two camps.
Yeah, just sitting there and creating pockets of influence, essentially.
Who are you rooting for? Whose finger do you want on the button? Or more accurately, who do you want spending your tax dollars? Do you want The Undertaker or Hulk Hogan? Or maybe more accurately, more apropos to this conversation, do you want Hulk Hogan or Hollywood Hogan?
Yeah, pretty much. The whole concept reminds me of that Futurama episode when Nixon gets elected, when it's Jack Johnson and John Jackson.
Yeah, and then Fry, who's from the past because he got frozen, he's looking at it going, so Jack Johnson and John Jackson are both, they're in two different parties, and they're
literal clones of each other too.
And he goes, they look like clones. And then he gets really close to the TV set, and he goes, wait a second, they are clones.
That was actually a pretty decent Fry impression.
Jesus Christ, I didn't know I was so good at that voice.
Yeah, you seemed surprised yourself.
Yeah, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, that sounded just like Fry.
Shut up and take my money.
Like Fry. That wasn't as good. So with this idea, and since I am new to social media, I thought that we could have a little fun and show some ways that this bifurcation narrative is kind of shoved down our throat. And the easiest way, and I know this from a lot of my sales experience, I've been in sales for well over 25 years. The easiest way to convince somebody to buy something or to do something is to convince somebody that everybody else is doing the thing you want them to do.
Or conversely, that you're being a rebel by doing something that is counterculture. Think about extreme Doritos.
Or if you own Hot Topic.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. So go ahead and be a rebel. Here's the prescription.
Yes. Purchase our rebellion goods.
Exactly.
Conform to our rebellion.
Like the asshole that's wearing a t-shirt this black t-shirt that just says rebel across the chest. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, and there was actually I saw a tweet by somebody that sat there and showed like punk rockers from the 70s in a picture right next to like I think it actually was PewDiePie and like his wife or something, and her holding up like an ultrasound photo of her baby.
Oh, okay.
And so it was like saying the counterculture in the 70s was like these punk rocker people, and then the counterculture now is like family people who are like getting pregnant and having kids and stuff.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, but it's funny because like I don't think that the person who was like creating that, because it was definitely from like a right-wing site. It was like, oh, what the hell happened to us? It's like, wait, are you bemoaning that the counterculture isn't crazy? Because, or are you, like, I feel like the point of it was to say that, like, being normal shouldn't be a counterculture. But it's like, but at the same time, you're still celebrating the punks from the 70s who were anarchic and all that. So it was kind of a weird, I couldn't quite get my head wrapped around what their point was.
I don't know. Maybe it's more like when everybody's special, nobody is.
Oh yeah, like the Incredibles.
Yeah, like
everybody's special.
And I think Anton
will be.
Yeah, and I think Anton LaVey pointed this out really well, and I forget what the essay was. I know I quote him a lot, but fuck, he's quotable. It's like, hey, man,
yes, that was kind of his thing.
Yeah, it's like if you can't accomplish something special, if you can't learn to type well or do something, go get an extra tattoo on your little finger to stand out. You know what I mean? It's like
what's the other quote that he had that was like just really silly? It was when everyone is quoting Nietzsche, I'll be quoting Don Amici.
No, I think he said he'd be quoting the Marx Brothers or something. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah.
I forget what it, yeah, but yeah, I remember that. But yeah, in other words, countercultures invariably end up becoming dominant cultures, and the only way to rebel against that is to then be what used to be the dominant culture that everybody was rebelling against, and it's a pendulum.
And only because it really shows a lack of creativity on the counterculture's part, that like
on human beings in general.
Oh, just the fact that they're like, oh, the counterculture is settling down and having kids with your wife and being super based, and all that.
Sure.
It's like, that's not a fucking counterculture. Come up with something new.
I don't know, man. Nowadays, it does feel like a counterculture.
And I get that was like what the person who posted was obviously sitting there and making the point, but it's like...
It's a good point.
Well, but the funny thing to me was that it's like, but by saying this used to be the like, are we besmirching the punks then, being like, oh, the counterculture used to be this radical, terrifying thing, and now it's the thing that we endorse?
I didn't take it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought
it was a joke.
I felt like the whole thing was kind of half-baked.
Shit's gone. Just like our society, half-baked bread. Yeah. Shit's gone
so sideways
that in order to be radical, the only thing that you can do is to have traditional values.
Yeah, you've got to be based.
And I kind of felt like that when I was in high school. I started listening to classical music because nobody else was.
Oh yeah, and I like obviously
it was a rebellion for me,
Well, and for me, like on my part with that, it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously you start off being like, oh yeah, grunge, and then industrial music, Nine Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson, Tool, and then like eventually it turned into like, oh, Leonard Cohen, and it's like,
sure,
like just people, like, I mean, the dude literally like wears a suit and he looks like he was born wearing a fucking suit. I'm pretty sure he came out of his mother's womb in a 3-piece.
And he sounds like the devil.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, Democracy's such a perfect song. Yeah, he seriously does look like he came out of his mother's womb wearing a 3-piece suit and he had a fucking microphone in front of him. What? I don't know, man. And then, like, he started off his career, Leonard Cohen, sounding like
very Bob Dylan-y. Yeah, he was in with that group with like Janis Joplin and them and everything. Is like obviously he even admitted that the Chelsea Hotel is about having sex with Janis Joplin while they're on tour.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, he came up with all like that group of people where it was like this folksy thing
and then like 1 year, like all of a sudden he sounds like either he had his vocal cords ripped out and surgically
his soul
reimplanted
ripped out through his throat.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, he sounds like a completely different human being. It's like if the devil came up from hell and decided to sing you a song.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not only what he'd sing, this is what he'd sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a look at some memes and different things about how wild dominant culture has gotten. The only way you can rebel nowadays is to look like you were born in a 3-piece suit.
And on top of that, I think a lot of this stuff also just shows like I don't think there's a lot of people out there who are like so far to the one side or it's like
this is a narrative that's being put.
Yeah, exactly.
This is being done on purpose.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So you're going to see the people who have gotten kind of like sucked into or are pushing.
All right, so let's
that kind of narrative.
All right, so let's preface what we want to do because I do have a theory, a conclusion, where I see this going, a thesis, if you will. We're going to show. I segregated our notes into 2 categories, and we're going to show some videos, memes, posts that really highlight what we could popularly term woke idiocy. I titled it in our show notes, left-wing fuckery. And then we're going to show some stuff that I think highlights what we could term Reagan fuckery or right-wing fuckery. And and let's take a look at these and let's try to build a picture of. Let's imagine
that we're explaining this to aliens.
That would be fun. But let's imagine that there is such a thing as the deep state. There is such a thing as a uniparty where. Now
you've got the elephant and the donkey. What's the uniparty? Is it? Please tell me it's a unicorn.
Let's make it the unicorn, man.
Ooh, you know what? Or we can make it a bicorn because it's one animal with 2 horns.
You know what I was thinking as the symbol for the uniparty, for like our T-shirts and stuff that I'm gonna make. You know the Gonzo fist with the 2 thumbs.
Oh yeah. From Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, from Gonzo Journalism, Hunter S. Thompson. So I was just gonna steal that and then put the eye of Lucifer over it from the triangle, the eye in the triangle right over the palm with the 2 thumbs.
You know what you could do is you could sit there and have like the 2 thumbs instead of being in a fist, have them both coming out to the sides and then just have the middle finger up.
That's a good idea too. So let's imagine for a second that there is a uniparty.
Yes, we will take it as writ for this. Yeah.
That if you look at it from this perspective, shit makes sense. That are purposefully trying to divide our culture and create rifts between people, bifurcated into 2 camps because they are too stupid to manage anything more than that. You have to have at least 2.
Well, you have to have precisely 2 is the thing.
I don't think so. Why couldn't you bifurcate 300 million people into 4 camps? Which is not bifurcation. Split 300 million people into 4 camps.
Because that doesn't give you voting power. Because then you've given subtext to things. You can't have subtext. That's what I'm saying.
Can't have subtext and nuance.
So that's why it has to be 2. That's why we can't have third-party candidates. That's why we don't do ranked voting.
And metaphysically, ranked voting. Interesting. And metaphysically, how many poles are there on a battery?
No, yeah, exactly.
2
And
poles.
energy flows in a singular direction between 2 poles.
There it is.
Yep.
I like it. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at some left-wing fuckery.
All right.
Let's take a look at this. So I originally went to Libs of TikTok, but I don't know, man. She's getting like pretty serious lately.
Oh, okay. So from what I know as a left-leaning individual about libs of TikTok is that person, the reason why they got kicked off is because they were like, from what I understand, none of this is verified. I don't know if it's true or not.
Oh, okay.
But it's like from what I
probably
understand,
don't either.
They were encouraging like doxing these people and stuff like that.
Well, she got doxed.
Oh, she did? Herself?
She got doxed.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's actually a thing that happened. That's the only reason why we know it's a her is because now she comes out in public because she got doxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't know if she did that first, but she did end up getting doxed. That I know. All right, so is this on the screen?
1 sec.
Yeah, I don't know where
I
you
did
want
the
to
wrong
start.
one. There you go.
So this is on the screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so everybody's seeing what I'm seeing?
Yep.
Okay. So this I found interesting, and this article I did read. Now, how outrageous is it that this is not only... I'm not even sure this is happening. Okay?
Well, that's always the stuff with articles like this.
Seems ridiculous. But this is a real article by either a real journalist or AI, because it's been proven that AI has been writing articles for years before we even were able to use it as consumers. But this is a real article. And there are other articles that are substantiating this claim. Now, how weird is it? I doubt this is happening very much. And maybe that's me being optimistic, which I am not wont to do.
No, yeah,
but it makes more sense to me that this is just being presented
real quick
as a narrative.
Before we get deeper into this for people who are just listening, it's an article that says now health professionals are urged to call vaginas bonus holes to avoid offending trans or non-binary patients.
Yeah. How ridiculous is that?
So if true, it is very absurd. And I'm not going to say that I think it's outside of the realm of possibility.
And that's the weird thing. It really should be.
It's one of those things where...
Like, you should look at this and be like, that's an Onion article.
Yeah, and that's what I would feel like, is that this feels like parody.
It feels like parody.
And
our entire world for the last 2 years has felt like parody.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll definitely agree with you that a lot of this stuff seems like parody, and that's why I'm always apprehensive about sitting there and actually taking anything like this at face value just because it feels so absurd.
Well, let me put it this way. I'm definitely going to have a reaction.
Oh, exactly, and it's all baked for that, and that's the point of the discussion.
Exactly. Most people are going to have a reaction.
Whereas my reaction would be to research this and be like, is this really happening?
No. I think you're taking it too seriously. Here's my reaction. What next? And then I click on something else.
Oh, no, yeah. For me, it's one of those things where I would want to know, because if something that absurd is happening, I don't know, for some reason, like I need to understand that's out there.
But here's the thing. Every article that you read about health professionals being urged to call vaginas bonus holes in order to stop offending trans people, every article that you read on this is either going to be why the left thinks it's a good thing and it's inclusive, or why the right thinks it's destructive to our culture and evil. Nobody calls into question whether or not this is happening. It is simply created out of thin air, most likely. It is created out of thin air. And if, like Andy Warhol famously said, and by the way, this is how you do magic. If enough people are paying attention to you and you say a thing is, people just if their emotions latch onto it,
sure,
people automatically assume that it is, and then it becomes.
And I think that's where everything ends up getting into like this weird nebulous area that we're in, is because...
I forgot Andy Warhol's quote. I'm sorry. Life follows art.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way magic works.
And so to me it's a funny situation, because regardless of whether or not this is true, whether this article is real or not.
Let's define true. I mean, for this to be true, this would have to be something that's being pushed in, let's say, at least 25% of our healthcare professionals nationally, as far as like establishments.
And the question
in order for it to be even worthy of reporting on, know what I mean?
But on top of that, it's so easy to skew facts like this. Even if it is in fact a fact. Ha ha ha. In fact, a fact. But you sit there and you look at now health professionals are urged. Urged by whom?
Exactly.
Because the entire thing is if they're being urged by a board of medicine, that's an entirely different amount of gravity than if they're being urged by activists.
Exactly.
And that's where everything just gets really, like, it's so easy to paint concepts in ways to agitate people's emotions.
Exactly. There's no substantiation to this whatsoever. And I read a few articles about this a while ago. I don't remember this specific article, but I mean, if we want to find it, we can read through it. I don't know if we want to take the time to do that, but the way I remember it, there were no numbers given. There were no professional boards that were, you know, kind of trying to legislate this.
Doing this. Yeah,
it's really just a statement.
Yeah, it's just nebulous outrage.
It's like, hey, let's pluck that out of thin air. Let's throw that into the public zeitgeist, and then the two sides that don't really exist can fight over that. That's the way it seems to me.
I want a bonus hole.
Careful what you wish for, because we have the tools to do that.
Is it a power drill?
It is a power drill. How'd you know?
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where but that's the funny thing is the way that media works these days. That's all you need. You just need some pictures and a headline that's going to infuriate one
Both
group
sides.
of people. No, hear me out.
Oh, okay.
Infuriate one group of people, and B, due to the fury of that group, the other group will come to defend against the fury.
Yeah, exactly.
And that to me is like, that's what makes this like so weird and dark and everything, you know?
All right. I have more points to make, but let's move on.
Okay. Moving on. You want me to close out the tabs as I go so we don't lose our place, or do you want me to leave them open for further discussion?
You're the producer. That's up to you.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have to come back to it. It's fine.
Alrighty.
All right. So here's another. Here's another.
I think I saw stuff about this too. Hold on. Let me get this centered before I sit there and throw it over so that it can be seen.
So this is from PETA. This is a tweet from PETA, and I saw articles written about this claiming the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Cow's milk has long been a symbol used by white supremacists. One more reason to hashtag ditch dairy. What does drinking milk have to do with white supremacy? Visit PETA.org to find out.
And there you go. It's like, okay, so not only are you generating traffic for your site, because whether they're outraged or in support, they're going to your site. Your site's going to have ads. You're going to make ad revenue.
Sure.
And
it helps their cause because they think drinking milk is wrong.
Exactly, because they're like, oh, well, we're abusing the animals in dairy farms.
Sure.
And so no matter what, just putting this out there does only good things for them, regardless of what it does for cultural interaction or anything like that.
Now, what does it do to cultural interaction?
Oh, it's just that whole bifurcation thing that we always
Now
talk
you
about.
have one group of people who are, you know, a lot of them are vegans or vegetarians or whatever, and I've nothing against that. Do your thing. I like animals.
Yeah, for both. The funny thing is, I like animals, and I don't have a problem with eating meat or drinking dairy. So it's like, there's one subsection of people who would be like, you're an effing hypocrite, you know?
Yeah. Now, why are you a hypocrite?
For claiming to be a friend of animals while allowing their abuse to sustain me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, is it abuse? I don't know. I feel like they're better off in my belly.
I mean, even if you want to sit there and do the whole thing where it's like, oh, well.
No, I get you. You're killing something. You're taking a life in order to sustain your own. I totally get it. But, I mean, if you look at this and you read the associated articles that are talking about the same thing, making this claim and trying to back it up with arguments that basically amount to poorly thought out sophistry. That's all it amounts to. You're going to have an emotional reaction from people. Either this is ridiculous, or, and look at the little flag that's behind PETA, the PETA symbol.
Oh,
what
yeah,
is that? That's the LGBTQ plus flag behind the PETA symbol. So they're associating themselves with left-wing so-called ideology while they're making this absurd statement. And hey, if you want to stay in our camp, you got to agree with this. Otherwise, you're evidently against trans rights or something.
Well, what it is,
or you're racist.
Yeah, what it is they're sitting there and they're trying to appeal to your morality to get you to
put yourself in
put
a camp.
yourself in. Well, no, to sit there and get you to adopt their morality, being like, hey. Maybe you don't care about drinking milk because you're like, oh, well, that's not hurting anybody.
Right.
Because we're not killing the animals. We're just getting milk from them, but they don't like the conditions that those animals are in. So like,
neither do I, by the way.
Drinking milk is racist. and now it's like, oh, well, I need to do this because of a different moral compunction.
Right.
You know, it's playing with morality.
Isn't it funny how everything and everyone that we don't like right now is racist or anti-Semitic? And Nazis. Yeah. Yeah, anti-Semitic racism is basically Nazis. Yeah.
Oh, and I love that the left and the right are both like, you're fascist.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
adorable.
Oh, it's totally adorable because they both are.
Well, in different ways, and they both aren't in different ways, too.
So, if you look at this, what's the emotional reaction that you're going to get from people on the right? That's fucking absurd.
Yeah, this is absurd. For every gallon of milk you don't drink, I'll drink too.
And what's the reaction you're going to get from people on the left?
Oh, God. Is drinking milk racist? Ooh, I should switch to almond milk.
What's the reaction that you have when you look at this? Facepalm.
Yeah.
The reaction that I get when I look at this, what's next? And then I click on something else. It's hilarious. This came out of thin air. The person who wrote these articles is the one, or the few, making this claim. Nobody's thinking this. This is not well researched. You can read the article. There's no research that went into this whatsoever. Once again, it is a line that is plucked out of thin air, put into the zeitgeist, and then everybody simply reacts to it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because reaction is how you make your money, get your votes, etc., etc.
Now, do you want to change racism? You're going to have to vote for somebody.
Yeah.
Do you believe
they better not drink milk?
Do you believe that this is ridiculous? Or
then
that
you
milk,
better vote for somebody who's going to stop these liberals.
Or do you believe that milk is racist? Then you got to vote for somebody who's going to stop this milk.
Yeah, we need to stop this racist milk.
Hey, listen. Got milk?
You shouldn't.
I thought you were going to say you shut your filthy mouth. You said you I was like, oh, here it comes.
That would have been better. Shut your filthy mouth.
Well, we'll do it again. I'm not going to cut it. I just want to do it again. Hey, got milk?
You shut your filthy mouth.
All right, what's next?
All right. What is next?
What's next? That was pretty like SpongeBob.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Nice.
SpongeBobbing it up.
All right, here's another one from, this is from NPR. I used to really love NPR. I actually, in my 20s, used to listen to Prairie Home Companion. In my 20s. I am like the most boring motherfucker ever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I used to listen to Howard Stern too, but Jesus.
It's all about the juxtaposition.
Prairie Home Companion, I actually laughed out loud a few times. I thought that guy was funny.
Oh, no, he was definitely good at, like, it was that deadpan turn of phrase.
So,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's like
I thought he was good at it.
Oh yeah, sure. It's the same thing that a lot of people are like, oh, that's not my kind of humor because it's stupid. But it's like it's the same reason why I love Leslie Nielsen. You know, it's like that guy can just deliver like the silliest things in the deadest voice.
Do I know who that is?
Naked Gun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just absolute monster at deadpan, you know.
Yeah, or Will Ferrell, he's really good at that too.
Just Leslie Nielsen is like in Naked Gun 33 1/3, Anna Nicole Smith's character goes, I could have two lovers, and he just goes, kinky, but I like my sex the way I like my basketball, one-on-one and with as little dribbling as possible.
Exactly. So this is from NPR, and the title is "The OK Hand Gesture is now listed as a symbol of hate." Now, this one I didn't bother reading.
So this one, I will say that I respect to NPR for that being a very not headline grabby, sway you in one way. They're just saying is now
really
listed. Yeah, because that's just is now listed.
That's the reason why I was going to say that is headline baity, is because who's listing it? I think NPR's listing it.
I mean, I guess we would have to read the article to find out.
Well, that's why
that's
why it seems baity to me. Who's listing it? Is this popular consensus? Or is this somebody who came up with a brilliant idea, plucked a headline out of thin air, put it into the zeitgeist, and watches people fight over it? Because that's the way it seems to me. Because once again, what's 50% of the fucking population supposed to feel when they see this? That's stupid. And what's 50% of the population supposed to feel when they see this? Not think, feel. Oh my God, I got to stop using that ancient, arbitrary, masculine, aggressive, patriarchal, toxic patriarchal hand gesture. Oh my God. And the next thing you know, it's going to be taken off of the emoticons that we have on our phones. We're going to have a pregnant man, but no okay symbol.
Did we actually have a pregnant man emoticon? I didn't know if that was made up or not.
No, it's there.
I didn't look into it.
Yeah, it's on my phone. I've sent it to people many, many times.
But yeah, but no, I mean, but with this, you see, and that's what I'm saying is like, I don't think anybody's really like me in these situations. When I see stuff like this, I'm like, I need to know the nuance of that. And if I find out it's ridiculous, I'm just like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Do you have to research this any more deeply to figure out that it's ridiculous?
But that's my point, is that that's what they're... Because think about how many people are actually going to read this article. Think about how many
Almost
people
none.
Are going to repost just this that we're seeing.
Well, that's where I got it from.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's all the information you're getting.
Yeah.
So it could be a thing.
But as far as I'm concerned, that's all I need.
But from what I understand, I do think I know a little bit of background on this.
Okay.
It's kind of like the
Please enlighten me, sir.
Well, it's kind of like the Let's Go Brandon thing.
Okay.
I think it was something that was adopted because of its innocuousness.
Okay.
And so now it's being listed as a symbol of hate because supposedly white supremacists and stuff like that have been using that symbol.
Oh my God!
Like as a dog whistle.
Hey, guess where the swastika comes from?
Oh, I know. It's a Tibetan good luck charm, but you know.
Yeah. So Hitler made the mirror image of that and turned it into a symbol of white supremacy and hate that's going to last for generations to come.
I know, but that's so.
So we're just changing the meaning of things.
Yeah.
But they're doing it arbitrarily. They're not even trying. Hitler created flags. He ran for office. He created an empire. I mean, at least he had to do work to change that symbol's meaning forever in the human zeitgeist. These people are just plucking headlines out of fucking thin air.
Yeah, they're just not.
They don't even have to use paper to print it on. It literally cost them nothing but the salary of the asshole that had to type that online.
Do you think these people have salaries? Because I'm pretty sure they're all forced to work piecemeal.
Yeah, I didn't mean salary.
Yeah, that was the wrong word.
Yeah, I meant like the $20 they got to write that article.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally a gig economy.
Exactly.
Yeah, or it's AI. One or the other.
Yeah, either way. But yeah, so that I did hear about this one. Either way, it's like, but you can make anything mean whatever you want it to mean.
What does anybody mean when they use that symbol? Are they being like, hey, white's the best?
Apparently, that's what I'm saying. Like,
so let's just take the things that are popular in our culture, and let's take all of them and make them divisive things.
I want to normalize picking my nose as a symbol of support of the LGBTQ community.
Oh my God, you would get to pick your nose in public.
Oh yeah, because it would just be a show of support.
I have to pull my hand down out of my nose every time there's a car that's passing me on a lonely road.
I'm telling you, it's brilliant.
And then I could just be proud. I could shove it up deeper.
Oh yeah, like you pass by somebody who's got like a rainbow flag on their bumper, you just sit there and pull out
a nice big solid one and just...
It's like, hey, I get you.
Oh, that'd be great. So when I look at this, I stop doing research and my reaction is, what's next?
Gotcha. 1 sec.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the gravity that we put on these things, and not we meaning me and you.
Now, this is something. Exactly. Them.
Yeah.
The species. And let's just call the Americans, like, I think Americans at this point are aspeciated from the rest of the world.
Aspeciated.
I consider myself aspeciated from humanity. Let's call Americans aspeciated from the rest of humanity. Mm-hmm. They're a completely different fucking organism at this point. So, and if you can't see, listening to these headlines and the reactions that people are having to them, if you can't see how the tail is wagging the dog.
Well, and that's the thing that I absolutely, not that I disagree with you on
you didn't sound like you disagree with me on anything.
Yeah, so but that's the one thing that I absolutely agree with is like these things feel stupid and ridiculous to me. Reading the comments makes my fucking brain hurt.
It makes me go, what's next?
Yeah.
So this is from MSNBC. This is an opinion piece called Pandemic Fitness Trends Have Gone Extreme. Literally. White supremacists' latest scheme to valorize violence and hypermasculinity has gone digital. And I heard a lot about this because this was an extremely volatile subject for at least a few weeks. Like, this was trending.
I had not heard a damn thing. So
nothing about this. Yeah. So there is a huge claim from supposedly the left that physical fitness is somehow racist. And that's why in the YouTube apology video that I recorded, I told him when I get vaccinated 8 times a day and it somehow made me from short and fat to skinny and tall, I do not exercise. I wanted to make sure that YouTube was aware I do not support that type of ridiculousness. I do not exercise at all. What? Yeah. I didn't say anything that's going to get us kicked off.
Oh, just
said I get vaccinated 6 times a day and I don't exercise.
Yeah, no, just,
I'm safe. Now, if I said I exercise and I never got vaccinated, we could get kicked off. But I did get vaccinated 6 times a day, and I do exercise. I do not exercise. Shit. Damn it. Fuck me up. So, yeah, this was a big thing. And trust me, Joe Rogan had a lot to say about this.
See, and again, here's always my thing, is I know that this is how everybody's consuming this.
Right.
Is they're seeing just this. That's all most people are looking at.
Sure.
Is just exactly this opinion piece, title, subtitle.
Right.
And I'm wondering what the fuck is in that article.
Well, there's a lot of them. See, here's the thing. It's a coordinated effort. This shit comes out in multiple articles across different, at the same time.
But to me, it's typically from what I've seen with shit like this is usually coming from one source. And then all of these news outlets, these online news outlets are like, oh, that'll get clicks. And so it's just...
So they report on the initial report? That's what you're saying? The articles that I read for the... What was the first one that I told you could close the tabs? No. I said I read a few of the articles. It was before Milk.
What was the one before Milk?
Yeah, what was the one before Milk? But I read a few articles. They all looked like separate articles. They did not reference each other at all.
But my point is that so the way the news works usually,
you look for things that are news and then you type them up. I get it.
No, you literally get your shit from the Associated Press or things like that.
You just think that's still how it works? I haven't seen. If you look at the Associated Press, their headlines are totally different from anything else that's in the media.
Oh, my point.
There's actually shit that's going on in the world, but we're all focused on this nonsense.
Oh, no, yeah, and I hear you there, but what I'm saying is I doubt that MSNBC was the one who originated this since you've heard it from a bunch of different places.
No, I don't think they
an origin.
Does there, or is it a coordinated effort?
If it's a coordinated effort, there is an origin.
Yeah, but it's not going to be one outlet over another. The outlets are simply the fingers. The hand is the thing that's doing it.
Yeah, but all it takes is for somebody to post a news story and them being all click hungry,
And I understand that I could be going a little tinfoil hat here when I say it looks like a coordinated effort. I'm not saying it is a coordinated effort. I'm not saying I've done enough research to...
I think getting the clicks...
To make the claim. It just looks that way.
I'm saying that getting the coordinated effort, crimes of opportunity. It's...
Hey, this is getting a lot of clicks.
Shit. We need to do a story on this so that we get the clicks because they're taking clicks.
It could be. It could be. And hey, maybe the wildfires all started by accident. Maybe there is no Jewish space laser. I don't know.
And if you look at, for instance, Fox News with the entire vote fraud crap and all that, in their internal memos, because Dominion filed a lawsuit against them,
right?
Their internal memos actually sat there and had them talking about how Newsmax and OANN were eating into their market share because they called Arizona early. And so they had to adopt this patently false narrative because their base was getting stolen.
Well, I don't understand why that would have caused the Dominion scandal, because OAN called the election early.
No, so Fox News on election night called Arizona earlier than any, whether it's left or right, news organization.
They called it early.
Yeah, they called that.
Walk me through this.
They called that Biden had won Arizona.
Okay.
Their viewership plummeted when they did that, and they had people outside the Fox studios chanting "Fox News sucks."
Oh, because they were told something they didn't want to hear. So then went
Fox
over to
had to change the narrative to match.
OAN saying it's still up in the air. Let's watch that. That gives me hope.
Exactly.
We're going to get into hope in a little bit. That's a huge part of my theory. So when I see a headline like this that basically exercise is racist and it has to do with white supremacy, you're supposed to feel one of two ways. That's ridiculous and pretty much an extremely unhealthy thing to say. Worse than telling people not to get vaccinated, in my opinion. Telling people not to exercise? Holy shit. That's absurd. Or you're supposed to feel like, oh my God, I feel so much better about being fat, which most people are, and you'll get them on your side. Now, here's the way that I feel when I read this headline. What's next?
Sure. Let us see here.
Here's another one. I don't know where this came from. I do not know a lot about this. I came across this doing my preliminary research for the show. I thought it was funny enough to include. So the headline is coffee racist? How drinking coffee perpetuates white supremacy. And then the byline, created by black people for black people, and now a pillar of white supremacist capitalism. If you consume coffee, you are helping an industry built on racism. Now, colonialism? Perhaps. Capitalist colonialism? Perhaps. But when I read these headlines, the first thing that pops in my head, other than laughter and what's next, is it feels like I'm being trolled. It feels like a troll is writing all these headlines. But that can't be, because because everybody's picking it up. These become hot button issues for political debate in social media and on the news. That's crazy.
So this one, I'm not going to say pushback, but I will add some context to this, is that I think the dumb thing about this article is that it says how drinking coffee perpetuates white supremacy. Now, if you want to have an argument about how we ended up drinking coffee as a people and everything like that, and how the origins of that definitely fucked with a lot of black and brown people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
we still do.
fucking %.
We spend $5, $10 on a cup of coffee. These guys are making like pennies on the pound for the fucking beans, man. And they're exploited. Hardcore.
Oh yeah, but that's what I mean. Yeah. So there's definitely exploitation.
Well, that's why I added the caveat when I was talking about it. You know, maybe colonialism, or what I should say, capitalist or corporate colonialism. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I felt like I interrupted you. You wanted to...
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I would just thought that you were taking over there.
No, go ahead.
But so I mean, as far as like drinking coffee perpetuating white supremacy, it's like how we ended up being a culture that drinks a lot of coffee definitely has deeply fucking racist roots.
Right.
Just because we sat there and went to it. Now, what was who's that comedian? Eddie Izzard. A cunning use of flags.
Is he the one who did that?
Yeah,
Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, Eddie
I
Izzard
thought that was
the
Monty Python.
No. It's Eddie. It's an Eddie Izzard stand-up routine.
Shit,
yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, where he sits there, is like, Britain conquered half the world through the cunning use of flags.
Oh wow, that's Eddie Izzard, huh?
Yeah, that's Eddie Izzard.
It is really funny. That's a good bit.
But yeah, they as far as that goes, like, did we end up with coffee through extremely racist and colonialist means? Absolutely.
Sure. And we still do.
Oh yeah, sure. And do those trade agreements need to be better and crap like that? Absolutely. But
100%.
Yeah, but yeah, it's
we are exploiting foreign labor.
Well,
100%.
But the funny thing to me is that to get back to the point that we're going at with this whole thing, again, we're just reading a headline. But my question is what do you think the chances are that article has any kind of recourse for this? That they suggest
What you just mentioned?
No, to solve the issue.
Oh, to solve the issue?
Yeah.
Stop drinking coffee.
But my point is that
which you're not going to do, so you're racist.
But is that good for those people? Because if you stop drinking coffee, there goes all their exports and imports. It's like, no, it needs to be better trade agreements so that they're not being fucking exploited to make the coffee that we want to drink.
You're looking at this and you're actually thinking about it, which I think is a waste of energy.
And I understand that you think that.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So you feel one way about it.
Yeah, but I don't. That's my point, is that nobody's critically thinking about it on either side.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
but the only reason you're critically thinking about it, period. Why you're bothering to critically think about it is because you're not having the reaction. What's next?
Well, I'm also not.
Which is the only appropriate reaction to have to this. I mean, that's my point.
Nah, I gotcha. Meanwhile, I wonder, just to bring that back up on the screen, do you notice that the little asterisks there are Black History, Money, and SMH, like Shake My Head?
Right.
Like, is that a news category?
No, well, I don't think this is meant to be news. There's probably an article, but I don't think it's like from a reputable source. Is there a title over it?
Here, hold on. Let me.
It's not from a paper or something. It's just something that I've heard people talk about.
I'm sure it's from somewhere. I don't know.
That's from somewhere,
Yeah.
obviously. I mean, they posted it. It's obviously a screenshot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've heard people talk about this, and it's fucking ridiculous. If you're having any reaction to this other than, I can't believe that's not a troll, like, I can't believe it's not butter. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
No,
so
I
somebody plucked this out of thin air, had nothing to do with the fact that we're exploiting foreign farmers who are coffee growers. Nothing to do with
But that's my point.
Had nothing to do with
they
that.
just knew, and I get that we're agreeing on that point. It was just meant to polarize.
Yeah.
And that was my point, is that, like, well, there's kernels of truth there, but I bet you that whatever this is, isn't talking about that. They're just trying to elicit emotion.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, so I definitely agree with you on that point.
So fucking silly.
Yeah.
So somebody plucked this out of thin air to get a reaction, period.
Clicks. Clickbait. Clicky clicks.
Clicky clicks and votey votes. All right. Oh, there's another one. From Time Magazine. The white. So I wanted to show you this because this is not just one. This is not a one-off. This is why I'm saying it looks like a coordinated effort. From Time fucking Magazine, the white supremacist origins of exercise. The origins of exercise. Now, exercise didn't originate with us being hunter-gatherers. It's not because we had to run after fucking animals or away from animals.
I'm going to be honest, the way that you were intrigued when you sat there, I started showing you about the space laser, like, I really want to look into this now and see what the fuck these people are on.
Let's read the fucking article, man. I told you, whatever you want to do.
So
the full title first. The white supremacist origins of exercise and 6 other surprising facts about the history of U.S. physical fitness from Time motherfucking Magazine. Let's see what it has to say.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, the fucking link is right above it, man.
Yeah, but I think Time might be a subscription thing. No, this page doesn't exist.
Maybe they got too much backlash.
Yeah, or maybe it's not really an article. And
may not be a real article.
Fucking.
I don't know. There was a lot of hubbub about this a few months. I said a few weeks before, but it has to have been more than a few months because was cognizant of this when I did my YouTube apology video back in June.
The point is that somebody obviously has to have said something about this at some point. So yeah, it makes me curious. Not enough to like waste our time looking into it, but this is definitely something I'm going to look into on my own because it's like,
okay.
It's like, yeah, like if you wanted to use a really broad brush to paint like you can say the white supremacist origins of anything,
Right?
like because whites have been in power in so much of the Western world for so long that you can say that anything is white supremacist. The white
why whites are in power in the Western world? Isn't that because that's where whites come from?
Exactly. But that's my point.
Yeah.
My point is,
and then we took over more. No shit.
Well, sure. Yeah. The colonization thing was definitely not the great thing, to do.
Thanks, Britain. I think I mentioned this in another podcast, but did you know that most countries in the world have an Independence Day that they celebrate every year when they gain their independence from fucking Britain? Jesus Christ, what an evil empire that was.
It's so weird to think about that little island.
I know.
Sat there and built their stuff up so much. It's like, I'm actually more impressed by that than Rome.
I'm more impressed by that than Nazi Germany.
Well, I mean, Nazi Germany didn't do it successfully for long. I mean, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, World War II was, 4 years long or something like that?
We had better weapons. Well, it just escalated shit more quickly. It's kind of like social media. Like, this would be a soft boil over the next 2 centuries. It's just shit's way more magnified. Yeah,
we weren't sending carrier pigeons to the front lines.
Yeah, exactly. So England's colonialism, I think the only reason why it lasted so long and it grew so vast is because the weapons weren't great.
Oh, yeah, and on top of that, the places that they were colonizing, it's like, they had just gotten to the point where they have, this extremely powerful navy and all of this, So it's like, that was definitely one of those situations where it was like, it was just a technological arms race to get to the sailboat, apparently, at the time.
Yeah, Britain's... It's knucking futs, man.
Yeah, it is crazy to think about Britain's colonization, because the funny thing is I think a lot of that comes from the fall of the Roman Empire, because Britain was occupied by Rome. When the Roman Empire fell, they had all of that structure that they had gotten from being a Roman occupied country, and then Rome fell. Power vacuum.
Yep.
Well,
we ended up with the Middle Ages, but there was something to build on, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We ended up with feudalism, which is kind of like what we have today. Feels like it evolved from that to a certain extent. Yeah. It really does. It doesn't feel like... It feels like, it's just like a more obscure...
Colonialism was just essentially feudalism targeted outward, because then you could keep the people at home feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're oppressing people in a country far away to get the resources you want,
the entire Western
then
world,
you can be strong.
The economy of the Western world is built on the slavery of third world nations.
Oh, yeah.
We all know that.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who doesn't know that,
and like I said,
willing to discuss it with you.
The white supremacist origins of America. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You can say the white supremacist origins of fucking anything.
Does it really have to do with race, though, or does it have to do with nation building?
I think it.
I know it used to have to do with race, but does it anymore?
I think that I guess
corporate colonialism has overtaken national colonialism. Those corporate structures. If you can make us money, I don't give a fuck what color you are. The only color that matters is green.
No, and I hear you as far as that goes. There do seem to be a lot of fucking racists around, though. It's weird.
Well, shit like this is going to make more, and that's what people don't realize, and that's the point I'm getting to. So let's keep looking at the shit we posted, that we're looking at.
Let's see here.
All right, so here's the next one. So I found this hilarious. So let's watch it first, and then we'll try to give some context, because it is difficult to tell exactly what's going on, but it is really funny. Oh, they actually put it up. Okay, Just Stop Oil protesters have blocked the London. It's like a
Pride Parade. Yeah.
Pride Parade, the London Pride Parade. The group started chanting and spraying paint before they sat down in front of the Coca-Cola float, which is a gay pride parade. Just Stop Oil had warned organizers that they might take action over its high-polluting sponsors, and had demanded London Pride make a statement calling for an end to new oil and gas. The Metropolitan Police confirmed they arrested 7 people for causing a public nuisance. Now, something about that strikes me as very funny.
See, and I don't know anything about the Telegraph, so I'm not sure what kind of news organization they are in particular.
Yeah, but you're watching video of the shit.
Oh, yeah, sure. And I will say that one of the funny things that strikes me on that one is they did try to sit there and show that they weren't protesting the Pride Parade by wearing a bunch of Pride stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, it is like...
I mean, can we both look at this and agree this is an example of cutting off your nose to spite your face? If you're going to look at it as we're all supposed to be on the same side.
I mean, I can agree with you that there's probably better ways to do that. That, like, if you're trying to literally stop all oil use in production, like, sitting in front of a bus is really not going to get you very far.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But that's what they keep doing. I mean, they're blocking highways.
I know that's their
shit.
whole
that's
MO.
Yeah,
that's what they do, you know.
Now, the fact that it's happening to a pride parade, see, what I see is with this continual pressure to bifurcate society into two camps, what's inevitably going to end up happening, and I believe is happening, and you and I have discussed this, is a process I like to call atomization, where you no longer have a tribe, you no longer have a camp. Everybody simply has to become their own thing. And you can see that in the LGBTQ, and they're just going to add all the letters to it eventually, movement, because atomization is taking place. I am this. And eventually it's just as easy as saying, I'm me.
Sure, and I think that should be the ultimate goal.
The serpent's going to have to bite its own tail eventually. Unless something very specific happens. So we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to look at some right-wing fuckery, and then I'm going to present my theory, unless you have something you want to add before we go. I got to pee.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just going to sit there and say that I think that one of the big things that drives this kind of issue on all sides of the aisle and everything is just the fact that we have built a society that is trying to push you into what you are instead of who you are.
Exactly.
And I think that that's a good button to sit there and put it on, because it's okay to be whatever you are.
I like that.
And it's okay to be whoever you want to be, to manifest whatever reality you want to create.
Sure.
But that has to be a personal thing.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that you can't be proud about who you are.
No.
It's just that to be led by the nose into whatever you're doing, whether it's sitting there and, you know, sitting down in front of buses, sitting there and running Joe Biden campaign bus off the road, like, the fact that you're so wrapped up in something that somebody planted in your head.
Right. And you're so wrapped, you're identifying with it completely.
Yeah, and it's like I said, if you're whoever you are and whatever you are, much love and be you.
Oh, I don't love anybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a misanthropist.
They can go fuck themselves. You can be whatever you want. But you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, he unilaterally wants to let you all know to go fuck yourselves.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, so now we're going to talk about some right-wing fuckery. So that's what I categorized this section of our show notes. The first one, we looked at left-wing fuckery, and now we're going to look at right-wing fuckery. Now, the funny thing is, and you brought this up, and I couldn't agree more, that when you look at the left-wing fuckery, these headlines and these things and these fucking bizarre TikTok videos where these kids with blue and pink hair, which I don't care, dye your hair whatever color you want, are crying at the camera because they were misgendered, and they're fucking weeping and they're punching themselves in the gut. Everything that's put out from the left is, your intuition tells you, is patently absurd. Now, everything that seems to come out on the right that's like, whoa, what the fuck just came out of your mouth and went into my ear? It's dark. It's insidious. And it's bizarre. It's so backward track of where we have gone as a civilization. It's very strange to me. So let's look at some of the right-wing fuckery. Now, you brought up a few that are silly, specifically the guy from The Daily Show.
Yeah, Jordan Klepper.
That I looked up.
Talking to Trump people.
What do you think we should do?
The MAGA crowd.
What do you think we should do first? Should we do the funny stuff first, or should we do that one that's fucking disturbing as shit?
Huh.
I mean, how do you want to present this?
I guess we could start with the shit bit and sit there and work our way back toward being funny. It's probably the better way to go, just for levity's sake.
All right, let's look at some dark fucking shit.
And let me get this switched over.
I won't do that. Apologizing is for the weak and
What
wrong,
happened?
which is why you should know
What
it
happened?
because you are
Oh,
weak
goodness.
and wrong, and you dance badly.
That was kind of dark.
Yeah.
I don't like being called I'm weak, I'm wrong, and I can't dance.
I
I mean, Jesus Christ, pick
I don't
2
like
out of 3.
Julian. Julian got me very upset there. There you go. That's really quiet. I don't know if that's going to come through. Hold up.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason, this particular video is very quiet.
All right, so we had it at 45. Just remember that.
All right.
See if you can make it full screen. That way you don't have to keep scrolling.
There you go.
All right. All right, let's watch this.
Hold on. I got to get it back on the screen. We can edit some of this out.
Nah, we're not going to do that.
All right.
That's like work.
But yeah, so from what we can tell from this,
Well, let's watch it first,
Yeah,
and then
okay,
we'll talk
okay.
about it. I don't think this needs context. This guy's pretty succinct.
yeah,
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. You know, tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. You know, they have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them, as opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, you know, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue because that will cascade across the cost balance.
Jesus Christ, that's dark. That's so fucking dark.
yeah.
So the normalcy that we need in the labor market is for employees to feel grateful for being put to work.
As opposed to feeling like they are something that employers need.
Right, because that's arrogant. Now, the other way is not arrogant. That's normalcy.
Yes. That's
So it's very strange that we can see arrogance on one side of that attitude, but we can't see arrogance on the other side of that attitude. Instead of it being a symbiotic relationship, one has to be in power over the other. And employees feeling more powerful than their employers is simply, it's a reversal of the natural order. I mean, wow. Holy shit.
Well, and I think the funny thing is that this is just basically a call for we need to stop giving people carrots and embrace the stick. Because the labor market needs to be put back in their place.
That's one of the fucking darkest things I have heard come out of somebody's mouth. Not ever, but in such a long time. Like that, there's nothing I can say about that that's funny. And actually, you brought this to my attention because you wanted to make a shit post on Twitter about this, but you couldn't come up with
I couldn't think of a way to make this funny.
There's nothing funny
There's
about this.
nothing funny about, like, this is a man who evidently does not see people as people.
Right. Now, for some reason, this feels more evil to me than if he just came right out and said, migrant workers need to be put to work at half minimum wage because they need to pay for the privilege of being here illegally. I mean, that would seem extremely dark. For some reason, this seems darker.
Oh, no, yeah, and both would be very dark, but this is just... I mean...
This is like, the whole world has to suffer...
for me to meet my quarterly margins.
In order for people to learn their place and start earning me more money again. And also, I feel disenfranchised of my power. So I'm going to make the whole world suffer so that I feel powerful once again.
And the funny thing is somebody like this has lost, like, a drop of their power.
Well, I have no idea how wealthy or powerful this guy actually is. I'm simply disturbed by his opinion.
Oh, sure. And I mean, you know, I'm assuming, judging by the fact that he's speaking at a trade union thing or whatever.
I have no idea who this is. I did no research.
Nah, neither did I. But, you know, the tag
But this
says,
is a real human being.
Yeah, the tag says millionaire CEO. You know, so it's like, let's assume that's correct for all intents and purposes.
I mean, the only way this is not disturbing, as disturbing, is if this is a real fake video.
Sure.
Because that's a thing that's going to start happening more and more. But if this is a real human being that's fucking saying this shit, that's bananas.
And he's thought his position through. He's not yielding on it.
Oh, no. He's definitely thought this through. He's not a stupid
this is
person.
What needs to happen.
He's not a stupid person. He has thought this through from a numbers perspective.
Exactly, because we're just people on paper. We're not literal breathing human beings. That's him.
This is sick. This is really disgusting.
But yeah, I've heard he's fun to play board games with. Just not Monopoly.
Nice try. Just not Monopoly.
But yeah, I mean, and stuff like that. It's like when you look at the things that like channels like Libs of TikTok.
Isn't there an economic
like
theory that was created by that guy who A Beautiful Mind was based on that basically says, you know, instead of everybody competing for the best, we all try to reach for like the middle ground and everybody ends up doing better?
Yeah,
because if you're all going for the same thing, only one of us can have it. But if we're all going for, you know, I mean, it's an economic theory that basically says, and he proved it mathematically, a rising tide raises all ships.
Sure, and there have been consistent reports, and I know that one of them was about so like whenever there's any kind of heavy civil unrest, not trying to tie the economic concept to the racist concept, but you know they do intertwine on certain parts. And if you sit there and every time there has been like a major urban riot with African Americans and stuff like that, they will sit there and they've commissioned reports to try to figure out what to do to prevent this from happening again. And every time they have economists and stuff look at this, they give them the same fucking recommendations. It's like, these people need to be lifted out of poverty. Otherwise, crime is going to keep happening because the vast majority of crime is caused by poverty. And, you know, sitting there and it's like, and it just falls on deaf ears.
Well, Jordan Peterson says the same thing, and I know you're not really a fan.
Oh, no, but I do agree with him on that. Yeah.
I mean, if you want, you know, your pocketbook to get better, or you want to decrease dependency on fossil fuels,
or if you even
or whatever, I mean, the first thing that makes a civilization really take off is rights for women, and that the second thing that happens is that you don't have such a wealth gap. I mean, you lift people in poverty out of poverty, and that makes everybody's life better
because those people now have money to spend, money to invest. And that goes across the board, and that's what just makes it absolutely transparent to me anyway, that it's not about fixing anything. It's about maintaining the status quo, because there's plenty of ways to make this all better for everyone, but if we get too close, then they can't force you to do stuff. And they can't make you do the things they want to do. If that power gap and that wealth gap gets too small and we get too close to each other, all of a sudden they've lost their leverage.
Exactly. So, I mean, it seems to me that building up wealth should be about living life well. There's one definition of sin that I've ever heard that I agree with. And it was, sin is the denial of the right to thrive. It seems to me that modern day American capitalism is not based upon wealth building. It's based upon, I have more than that guy. And Anton LaVey said it best. The real secret of the human being, the major drive behind everything he does, is everybody wants to feel better than somebody. It's not about them building a better life for themselves. It's about feeling superior to other people. And it's so fucking glaringly obvious to me. Yeah. And so many people are fucking blind to it. If I'm rich, but so is everybody else, I don't feel special. Jesus Christ, what a way to look at the world.
And the extra fucked thing to me about this is the fact that recent populist movements, like, it's so weird how they're co-opting the middle class to agree that, like, it almost reminds me of the entire thing where Anton LaVey, again, about temporarily embarrassed millionaires.
Anton LaVey didn't say that.
I thought that was Anton LaVey.
No. I got that quote from you. I thought you knew who said that. That's not LaVey. I don't think
it wasn't
so.
LaVey?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well,
the quote is, America doesn't have any poor people. What they have are temporarily embarrassed millionaires. In other words, everybody thinks that someday they're going to be the guy.
Yeah, because if you can keep the American dream alive, it's like, oh, well, we'll let you pass these tax break bills because when I'm a millionaire, you know.
The carrot and the stick.
Exactly. It's like, and that's what is dark to me about that video that we just watched, is the entire thing of, like, he's not offering carrots.
This is the second time that you mentioned hope. So I want you and anybody who's listening to remember that that's the second time you mentioned hope. And this goes huge into how people are controlled and my prescription for what's about to happen and why it's inevitable.
I
have a prescription for how we can get out of this and where I think it's leading, but it's not going to happen. Yeah. So remember the word hope, everybody. Keep going.
All right, so that was the darkest thing that we had there.
So fucking dark.
Yeah. What was next?
Oh, and in response to that, but here's why people on the right are thinking this, and I think this is an important point to bring up, and I don't mean to overwhelm everybody with left-wing fuckery, but this is just too perfect to put in Congress with the clip we just watched.
Oh, what, do you want the Libs of TikTok one?
Yes.
Okay.
We gotta watch that next. So see if you can make that full. And, let me put the volume back down. That's probably going to be a lot louder. Hang on. We don't know how to put this on our recording, so it's going to be picked up through the mics. I got to put the screen down. All right, let's go. Let's see how that sounds.
So I just got yelled at for asking a very reasonable question. So I'm applying to go somewhere, and I just wanted to know, are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time?
She's crying, by the way.
And then the person I was with interrupted and acted like I was asking something else, and then when we were done, they actually started yelling at me and saying that accommodations for time blindness doesn't exist, and if you struggle with being on time, you'll never be able to get a job. You know, provided you're trying your absolute best to be there. And then they're like, your stupid generation wants to destroy the workplace. And yeah, I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time, when there's other solutions that we can look to, I think that just anybody who thinks it's okay to just treat people like that, yeah, that culture needs to be dismantled. And then I asked that person, how can you feel good about yourself upholding this kind of system? And then to think, I'm entitled. No, if people think it's okay to treat others like this, that's entitlement. So I just got yelled at for asking.
Yeah, it's looping.
Yeah, that's a short.
So...
I mean, but that is I'm not positing any opinions.
Sure.
I just thought that it was so apropos, we could not show that directly after.
No, I gotcha. So I don't know how prevalent it is, but I have heard that time blindness is actually, like,
Yeah,
an actual mental thing.
Somebody mentioned that in the comments, but there's a specific disease that's associated with it, and if she hasn't been diagnosed with that disease, she's just not getting up on time.
Well, and
it's called ACR. I forget.
Sure,
it's like an acronym.
But I mean,
mentioned.
at that point, if she's sitting there and making that video, then let's give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she does actually have said associated disease.
Okay.
With that being said, it's like, I think that that's actually more of a statement on the issues with the way, like to tie the two videos together, the way that he's looking at people versus if she does have this disability of her just trying to live her fucking life and being like, hey, I'll do my work. I just might be late sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, that would, if we made that guy the employer that she was, oh yeah, of course he's going to be like, no, you're going to be here on time and you're going to work late hours and I'm going to dock your overtime pay and sit there and steal it and do wage theft like all of these billion-dollar companies do and get caught with, because there have actually been tons of cases where multi-billion-dollar companies actually sit there and shave off time on people to save money and have gotten caught doing it.
Okay.
So it's
what does that have to do with what?
Oh no, so what I was saying is like, I was making him more evil. It was just like, not only do you need to show up on time, but you're going to work late and I'm going to steal your
right.
overtime.
Everybody gets away with whatever they can. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got you.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, if to give her the benefit of the doubt, if she does have that disorder, that fucking sucks to sit there and try to find a place where you can work.
Sure.
When you literally can't judge time properly.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah,
there's such things as alarm clocks, man. I mean,
I hear you.
So I don't know anything about this disease or how it works.
From what I understand,
if she has it, how late she was, etc. There's so many variables.
But here's the whole thing.
I'm just saying,
from her story, she wasn't late. She was asking if they had accommodations, and they said no. Fuck you. Because she was applying for a job in her story.
That's
why
if you're not even an employee and people raise their voice to you, here's where you got to stick up for yourself. I mean, I find it hilarious in jobs that I've had where I'm with other grown men and women. I can't do that. I'll get yelled at. I'll be like, you'll be what at? You'll be what at?
Yeah.
You mean somebody's going to fucking raise their voice like this? And that scares you? Did you never grow up? Did you never come out of school?
Yeah. Hey, I mean,
holy shit. You're scared of another grown human being raising their voice at you? I can't do that. I'll get yelled at. At least phrase it differently. My pay will be docked. I'll be suspended.
I'll get written
Real consequences. Yeah. I'll get yelled at.
Some people...
Who fucking cares?
A lot of people are adverse to confrontation. So
they're children.
Hey, I don't like confrontation either. I try to avoid getting yelled at.
I think it's funny. I don't give a shit.
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to shy back from it if it's over something that has nothing to do with me, but it's like, yeah, if I don't like it.
Oh, I don't.
I
don't give it. I don't. It doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely no effect.
Yeah, you're very eye roll about like. Are you
no, because yet? The person yelling is obviously a fucking child in their own right.
Exactly, and that's the funny thing about that.
I mean, I really do start to see the more that I'm exposed to people, especially online, but even in day-to-day life.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll get yelled at, and the person yelling, they all look like children to me. I'm sorry, and I have my faults, no doubt about it, but I love them. And I'm so happy that I have them. And I'm comfortable with it. But these fucking things that I'm surrounded by every day look like hairless half monkeys that are all walking around, picking up each other's shit and flinging it at each other. It's fucking nuts, man. Well, but it's crazy.
The point being is that, the perfect candidate to work at whatever that CEO's company was in the other video is somebody who's scared of being yelled at. You need to have the fear of God put in them. And God is the CEO.
How do people, because I understand in school and with your parents and shit, how do people never grow out of that? What happened that stunted them permanently in grammar school? Like their emotional development stops literally in 6th grade.
If you get enough...
If you quake when another grown individual raises their voice, you got some fucking growing up to do.
Yeah, but, I guess my not even counterpoint, but just thing that I have to say about that is just, if you instill enough trauma in somebody when they're young...
Yes. That's it.
They learn to sit there and constantly be traumatized.
It's trauma. And people do not have the ability to separate the observer part of themselves from the actor part of themselves. In other words, the ego from the identity.
Yeah.
They do not have the ability to create space between themselves being observed and the thing that is observing the self. Therefore, they do not have the ability to objectively watch their own actions and reactions, assess, reassess, and redirect their energy. They do not have the ability to do that. Therefore, they are thoughtless, reactive automatons.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to call them all automatons. You can if you want, but
I'm painting with a broad brush to make a point.
I gotcha.
Okay.
But it ties into.
I've met some amazing people in my life.
Sure, but what I'm saying is it ties into the greater point of that's the type of traumatized person that lends themselves to being swayed by this kind of shit. Though
it almost
the
seems
stuff
like
that we're talking about,
exactly
like all this crap.
It almost seems like a CIA psyop is being done en masse culturally and has been being done for decades in order to create the ideal workforce.
I think there's definitely been a lot of input by...
I mean, what's the one where they put kids through trauma on purpose in order to be programmable? I mean, the CIA did that. I think that's a real thing. That's not even a conspiracy theory. That was like proven.
It's a distinct possibility. They particularly during like the 50s and 60s and stuff, they had a lot of weird psychological ops instead of like MK Ultra and things like that.
Exactly.
And, so that was very drug intensive. We'll get into that some other time. But it's definitely one of those situations where I mean, you're always all right, quick tangent. You know what cracks me up about fucking right-wing people is sitting there and saying that anybody who is not in line with your distinct flavor of bullshit is a groomer. And everybody's being groomed. We're being groomed to be in a workforce. The fucking church grooms you.
Oh, sure.
It's like to sit there and say that a transgender person or a drag queen or whatever reading to a kid, oh, you're grooming them. And then sit there and be like, oh, but church is fine. Church is where they should be. It's like, that's fucking grooming too. Yeah. And school grooms you to be a fucking person who's traumatized by fear of people yelling at you.
And in a way, everybody has an agenda. I mean, for example, the conversation that we're having right now is because I had an idea that we are about to get to that I wanted to put before people and see what they thought of it. Okay? And see if they can see what I see.
Sure.
So I do have an agenda. I want to convince people that this idea is at the very least worth looking at. Now, here's what I don't think most people can do that I do have to give myself some credit for. I think I'm very good at. If you can disprove my idea, or if you can show some flaws in my idea, I will reassess and reevaluate. And you can speak on my behalf.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I have no problem doing that. I am not married to my ideas. I do not identify with my ideas any more than I identify with my species, my gender, or my color. I'm just me. And I have fun being me, and I have fun thinking thoughts. So yes, in a way, everybody has an agenda. Everybody's grooming, and everybody is certainly being groomed in many different directions at the same time. What I don't like about people is that they do not have the ability to choose what they do. They are not acting mechanisms. They are reacting mechanisms.
Well, sure. And that's what you were talking about with not being able to separate yourself from yourself as an observer and see how you look from the outside.
Exactly.
Because when you're... And again, I just have to say it because I'm a left-leaning person. Like, I am not saying anything about anybody who identifies as anything.
You can talk.
You're
to me,
fine.
Man. You don't have to talk to the camera. They're fine.
No, but the thing is when that is the core of your being, when that's not just another facet of who
what
you
is the
are,
core of your being?
Whatever you're identifying with, Christian, right-wing, Republican, left-wing,
transgender,
gay,
exactly, yeah.
Those are all facets of you as a human being.
Those are just thoughts that you're thinking.
Well, they're parts of you. I'm not trying to denigrate anything.
Your thoughts are parts of you.
It's all facets of who you are.
But you are not your thoughts.
Exactly. And that's what I'm driving at. I'm going to be agreeing with you here.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Yeah. So okay, I just wanted to make sure, but
I know we're not arguing.
I felt an argument. going
No,
on. Okay.
no. I have a really
Oh, go
simple.
ahead.
I have
Yeah.
a really simple way for people to identify what they are and are not.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Well, you can finish your thought. I will not forget that.
All I was saying is that it's one of those things where everything that makes you, that you are a multifaceted thing. And if you allow
Multidimensional, infinite.
Yeah, and if you allow yourself to be
In potential.
to be created into such a one-dimensional character,
Pigeonholed.
they are going to
They.
anybody who wants to.
They're going
because
to lead you by the nose.
It's all crimes of opportunity. They can see that you're one-dimensional, and that's the button they can push
That's
to
the
get
button
you
they
to
can push
move the way
in
they
a
want
certain
you to
direction.
move. Yeah.
Precisely. Now, here's my first prescription for people, and this has to be done on an individual level.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
As all things that will change a group, because a group is simply a collection of individuals, all of my prescriptions have to be done on an individual level. First prescription. Here's how you define what you are and what you are not. What you are versus what you are identifying with. And therein lies the rub. Identifying with something makes you feel like you are it. Now, you are not your thoughts. How do I know this? Because those thoughts belong to you. Hence the phrase, your thoughts. Very simple prescription. If you can experience it, you are not it. It is by definition separate from whatever you are. And if it is not you, it is subject to your control through will, understanding, and wisdom.
Sure.
And that's very simple. You are not transgendered. It is a feeling. It is a thought. And go ahead and express it. I have no fucking problem with that. Love you. It's great. But you are experiencing that feeling. You are experiencing that transition. So whatever you that is experiencing all those things is identifying with that. That's a choice. And I'm not saying it's a bad choice. I am identifying to a certain extent with my sexuality because this turns me on and that does not. My body reacts to this. It does not react to that. But that's not me. That's an experience that I'm having. Very simple.
And it's an expression of yourself. And I will sit there. Sorry, I just want to, because I know that this is a thing.
I hit a hot button topic there. That's fine. But
no.
I think if people really think about what I'm saying, I don't think I crossed any lines there.
I know that you didn't cross any lines. I want to be as clear about it as possible because it's so easy for...
If you think I'll be misconstrued, go ahead and re-explain it to your audience. I got you.
So it's one of those things where I would posit that what you identify with isn't necessarily a choice. It's part of what is you disseminating the universe into who you are. I think it just happens naturally. Nobody's. The reason why I bring this up is because I know it's a hot button thing to say you choose to be gay. Or something
no, I'm not saying that.
That's all. Because I know that there's
your body reacts to certain things. That's why I brought up the body. If I get turned on by something,
I heard the word choice.
If I get turned on by something, therefore I am heterosexual, or if you want to call me cis normative, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I really don't care. I don't care about words. My body gets an erection when I see a girl that I think is pretty.
Yeah,
I do not think men are pretty. If I see a man that looks like a girl...
Johnny Depp is pretty, but anyway.
He's a good-looking dude. But he doesn't make my body react.
Sure.
If I see a guy that looks like a girl that I find attractive, my body reacts. I'm not going to have sex with her, because once I find out, my body stops reacting. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's not a choice. But I am also not my body.
Oh,
because
sure.
I am experiencing my body. And that's the divide that people really have to create in themselves to that extent. I am not this world I see around me. First thing, I am not my body because I'm experiencing it. I am not my emotions because I'm experiencing them. I am not my fucking thoughts, which is really the hardest one.
Oh, sure, because it's near impossible to separate your consciousness from what you're thinking.
From your thoughts. And only through a lot of meditation can you come close to that, if at all.
Yeah, and it's extremely difficult
Very
because
difficult.
your mind is always putting
Chattering.
that into
Chattering.
words.
Exactly. But if you can experience it, you are not it. You have to be the thing that is experiencing it. I'm not saying homosexuality or being trans is a choice. No. I'm saying you get to choose what experiences you have.
Sure. And then by that, you can define what it is that entices you and doesn't, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not that you're making that choice.
Exactly.
You are defining your own parameters
Exactly.
by accepting or not accepting.
By
input.
what you choose to identify with, what experiences you choose to focus on. You know, I mean, I could just never have sex again.
Sure.
Even though
And
women turn me on.
But
That's my choice.
Sure.
That would be an experience I'm choosing.
And there's people who want to have sex with people because they think they should and realize that it just doesn't turn them on at all.
Oh, I'm supposed to like that supermodel. I don't. I like heavy women.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go do that.
Exactly.
But that's still not you. You're the thing observing that experience. So I'm not saying you get to choose. You got the body.
I knew the point you were making. I wanted to make sure that if anybody listened to
you're
it,
right.
that they understood
that
what you
could
were
have been
saying.
misconstrued.
Yeah.
Do you think we cleared it up at that
I think
point?
we cleared it up, yeah.
Okay. I'm saying almost in a supernatural sense, there's an observation that is inherently, by definition, separate from any experience that observation can have.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, including body.
Mm.
All right, so I think we beat that horse to death.
Indeed!
What
Dead horse!
else? All right, something a little funnier. Jordan Klepler's top 10 moments with Trump supporters. Now, we may be doing some cuts here, so don't be surprised. This is a long video compilation. We're probably just going to skip to the funniest ones, but we're going to watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
through, so I might cut around.
Yeah, we'll be watching the full 13 minutes, but yeah, you guys may not be watching the full 13 minutes.
We'll cut around.
All right, let me see here. Let me get that up.
I stopped short of QAnon because it was like early this morning because I don't sleep anymore.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I can only sleep when I'm drunk, and I didn't drink a lot this week. I wanted to do some QAnon stuff, and I was just like, if I do QAnon,
There's just not enough fucking hours in the day.
I have to do libs of TikTok, and that's 8 hours right there.
Yeah.
So, fuck it. Let's stop there. And then you had two more? 3 more? No, we didn't get to child labor yet. Let's keep going, my friend.
All right.
Jesus Christ, let's keep going.
Alrighty. Let's get throw the camera on you while I get this up.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I gotta do stuff? All right.
I gotta look ways. See, he's supporting you.
see, Gates? I like you. That was a callback, assholes. If you just watched that part, fuck off.
Eat all the dicks.
Well,
I mean, depending on
whatever you want.
all the dicks, yeah.
Or the vaginas, or whatever.
Alrighty. Yeah, so this one was particularly weird. So apparently, and I have not looked into this much, because I just ran into it on Twitter earlier while I was doing my standard daily shit posts.
Yeah.
And
you standard daily shit posts.
yeah, and it's like, apparently there is now a conspiracy because John Fetterman, who is he the lieutenant governor or the governor of Pennsylvania?
Is there I fucking know.
Well, the lieutenant governor is like the vice president. The lieutenant governor is the governor as vice president.
I don't fucking know what it is. I just know this guy had a stroke.
Yeah, so
and he looks weird.
So he had a stroke and he came back with his beard cut in a different way, and apparently this is a thing where they now think that because of this, his appearance having changed from being hospitalized and shaving differently, that he has been replaced or murdered or something, which is just, and so they show this and you can see clearly in the image that he has tattoos on his inner forearms.
Yeah.
Or side forearms, really.
You got it up on the screen?
Yeah, it's up on the screen. So, and then they have clips from a video where his tattoos are gone.
Yeah, but they're stills.
He's been
They're
replaced.
stills from
yeah,
the
they're
video.
stills from a video.
His tattoos are gone. He's obviously a stand.
He's obviously a different
body
person.
double.
Yeah, Fetterman got murdered and got replaced by somebody else because question mark? I don't fucking
because
know.
things.
That's not what's supposed to be happening there.
That's
Thank
not
you.
it.
It just started playing as soon as I clicked. So here is the actual video that those fucking stills are from, that whoever made these stills to try to support this crazy
Must
theory
have done it on purpose.
did it on purpose. And you can clearly see the fucking same tattoos on his forearms. And there's the clip there's the bit that they used where his forearms are in the wrong position.
But you can see, I thought that was
that one there,
but there's the tattoo.
Yeah, but there's the tattoos.
It just looks like it's on a different part of his arm over there.
Yeah, it's just because of the way he had his arms.
Because he's basically built like a mongoloid.
Oh yeah, he is a big dude. That guy, he has
different proportions than a normal human being. So
he's a very large man. As far as he is incredibly tall. I think he's like 6'8" or 6'9" or something like that.
Christ. Was he like a pro wrestler?
He actually was a football player.
Okay.
I believe in college. But yeah, so it's like the
right is so good at conspiracy theories.
Oh my god,
why don't you guys catch up? They're so creative.
So here's the thing that I think that the reason why the left doesn't do that is because the left tries to keep this veneer of being in the right.
I think they try to keep a veneer of intellectual superiority.
Sure, and to be caught in a conspiracy theory on the left would damage your intellectual credibility. Yeah. And because they're trying to be, we're the smart ones, we're the forward-thinking ones, it's like...
We're not like those hillbillies.
Whereas the right's just like, I hate this guy, give me more reasons, I need to taste the hate.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying, they tend
as far as intellectual superiority goes, I mean, the left really does think they are smarter than everybody, and the right really fucking aggravates them.
Oh yeah, it's one of the main reasons why everybody likes to paint AOC.
And you see these
stupid.
people at the fucking Trump rally that the guy from the Daily Show's interviewing. I'm sorry, what's his name again?
Jordan Klepper.
Jordan Klepper is interviewing. Dude, if your IQ is 82, okay, God bless you.
Yeah. That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Go be good at something else. Don't politically argue shit.
Yeah, and
if I am ever out of my depth, what do?
Figure out what it is that you're out of your depth on and try to get into your depth on it?
If I care that much about it. But what do I usually do?
That's the thing, is these people have been put in a position where they care very much.
They care very much. Yeah, but what do I usually do?
Go ahead. I'm not sure where you're going with that.
I'm out of my fucking depth, man. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay.
It's that easy.
Yeah, I just didn't know which way you were going with that
fucking
one.
Easy.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting how and both sides do it so ridiculously with the just like mindlessly braying the fucking bullet points that they're being force-fed and just ugh. But yeah, that I did, particularly with the Jordan Klepper thing with the sheeple stuff, that like, oh my god, that was so fucking like just like, oh no, yeah, you need to read the transcript, but you haven't read it. No, but you need to read it, but you haven't read it.
It's fucking amazing. These fucking hairless half monkeys, and I have to share the goddamn planet with them. I'll tell you what. As leading organizer for the New World Order, I am not the head. The lizard reptilian alien behind me that's trying to inculcate my body through telekinesis and telepathy is the head of the New World Order. His name is Ralph, but I am absolutely certain I do not agree with certain agendas that are happening now, like buying up the arable land and forcing everybody to eat shitty food, because I'm going to have to eat the same shitty food. One thing I agree with is a depopulation plan. I'm going to be honest. I am sharing this world with way too many hairless half monkeys, and I hate to tell you, there's one way. You worried about pollution? Are you worried about global warming? Are you worried about anything that has to do with the environment on this planet? I got the solution. Here's the solution. 95% of you fuckers gotta go. And when I say you fuckers, I mean anybody that ain't this guy. Because I'm not going anywhere. Get the fuck off my planet.
Succinctly put, I suppose.
Thank you. I think I made a good point.
Yes, quite.
All right, what else do we got here for...
Truly a Swiftian riposte.
So what else do we got here for right-wing fuckery?
All right, last jam. So this one I only found funny because of the fact that it was framed in a very interesting way.
Okay.
And the framing...
Oh, this is the Tim Pool post?
Yeah, this is the Tim Pool post.
All right, this is a weak one to end on, but let's go through it.
Sorry, it just happened to be
that's
the order
okay.
that we're in.
Yeah, I got you.
So, we need to move on anyway, because we're running long here.
I don't care about
Oh, yeah, but so the thing that I found funny about this is that, so it's an MSNBC breaking thing that the three of the men accused for plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer have been acquitted.
Okay.
Tim Pool says, wow, it was a hoax the whole time. Who knew? Implying that, obviously this whole situation, the whole thing was a hoax. These guys have been acquitted. These are three of a bunch of people who are sitting there and being indicted.
Charged.
Yeah.
No, charged.
Yeah, who are charged with this.
Found guilty.
Yeah, these three guys convicted, yeah. These three guys got acquitted because they didn't know that they were part of a conspiracy. They thought that they were just there training with this militia.
Right.
And
which is why exercised is white supremacist.
Exactly. See, I'm glad you understand this. That exercise.
No, man, you're convincing me. I get it.
I know.
I get it. Because first thing you're climbing the monkey bars. Next thing you know,
think about what those bars are called.
Ooh.
But anyway, racist.
How is that racist? We're all hairless half monkeys.
Nah, yeah, I hear you.
How dare you?
How dare you?
But I do think that you find yourself climbing the monkey bars at one point, and the next thing you know, you're kidnapping a governor.
That's pretty much how it works.
And what's more white supremacist than kidnapping a white woman?
Yeah, exactly. Did we want to actually play the whole minute 25, or should I just sit there and say, because we already said what the content of it is?
Yeah, so basically, we don't have to. So
yeah,
basically,
the point
in
is
the
if
trial...
if you literally watch the video that he's saying it was all a hoax in,
yeah.
If you literally watch the video, it tells you that it wasn't a hoax, it's just these three guys got acquitted.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is just
now how many guys got convicted?
Exactly.
They gave a number.
Yeah, I think it was
over 10. I remember that.
It was 12 or something like that. Yeah. So it's like, but no, yeah, it was obviously all a hoax because he's counting on his people to just read the headline, see it's MSNBC, see that he's saying it's a hoax. Tim Pool says it's a hoax. So damn right it's a hoax.
If that's what he meant, I don't know if there's additional context to that because this is the first I'm hearing about this story. I'm pretty sure I haven't heard about this before. And Tim Pool, I don't know the guy. I've heard him on Joe Rogan a couple times, and Joe Rogan had to metaphysically backhand him a couple times when he got out of line, calling Stephen Colbert an asshole because he's a lefty. He goes, whoa, Stephen Colbert's not an asshole.
Yeah,
he just
a sweet guy, yeah.
Has a difference of opinion than you on certain political issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Tim, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's context here that we're missing, but if that is the way that he meant that,
sure.
And he did just read a headline, and he's thinking that everybody else is going to do the same thing, which he's right about, by the way. That's pretty fucking funny. That's pretty fun.
And my thing on that, I guess, would be is did he watch the whole thing and just know other people wouldn't, or is he just breezing through that?
Nah,
see, it was
he doesn't seem dishonest. I mean, I've heard him interview a couple times.
I don't really watch the guy, so
and he's comfortable with trans people, so you know. He had a whole thing where they kind of broke the internet. He had Joe Rogan, this really famous trans woman, Alex Jones, and a few other people that are like really well known in the the ADW. IDW, yeah. And they kind of like broke the internet. He had like this podcast in his trailer. He has like a mobile home.
Yeah.
Sort of, or a RV.
Yeah.
And he has a podcast from an RV. So he had all these people together. Like, and I'm not saying Alex Jones is a member of the IDW or the trans woman who I can't remember. I'm just saying, like,
I gotcha.
People who are like, fringe thinkers. And so at least there's that. So he seems like an honest guy that's just has a particular.
I know he's like handy on a skateboard,
like Stephen Colbert. who he said talk shit about. He seems like an honest guy that has a particular political leaning.
Yeah, and I'm not going to call Tim Pool out as being an asshole out of hand because I don't know the guy.
But this is my point. I'm pointing at a screen that's no longer there. That's okay. This is my point.
You drew attention to it. That's your problem.
I know, it's not even on camera.
Yeah.
Most people are just headline readers.
Yeah, that's the way we consume media these days.
That's all you need. So all those headlines that I pulled out of the our when our topic was left-wing fuckery.
Yeah.
All those headlines I pulled out, they're just plucked from thin air, put into the ether. The article that follows the statement barely matters.
The amount of people who are actually going to read it, I'm sure, is in single-digit percentage numbers.
Exactly. You're just creating friction on purpose. And whoever first wrote that headline, milk is racist.
Yeah.
Whoever first wrote that and put it on the internet, they're probably the first person to fucking think of it.
And the entire thing
I guarantee you.
Everybody who then sat there and said, this will generate clicks and reposted that, you are just as fucking
This
guilty.
is the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah.
Okay, and Tim Pool, look, if we're correct, it looks like he's just as guilty of this.
He's either being wagged or wagging, either way.
I think he's being wagged. I don't think he doesn't strike me as dishonest.
Again, like I said,
but I don't know
in the
I don't
other
know
podcast, I'm willing to give anyone the benefit of it.
So then you have these fucking people, like we saw at the Trump rally, that, what's his name?
Jordan Klepper.
Jordan Klepper's interviewing. Hey, there's your average intelligence of the American population right there. And I really hate to say it, liberals, but left and right. You guys ain't that fucking bright either. There's the average intelligence of the American person right there, okay? Headline readers. So all you have to do, the first person that puts out milk is racist, they're not reading the populace and saying, oh, wow, a lot of people have this opinion, let's report on it, which is what they're making it seem like.
Yeah.
The first person that wrote that headline, they fucking made that up. I can almost guarantee you.
Oh, and with intent. The intent is A, the clicks, and B, to sow discord in order to create more clicks.
More clicks. And the political climate that is created by our political class is allowing the cultivation of resources through that type of behavior.
Exactly, and that's where your perverse incentives and everything comes in, yeah.
They're creating perverse incentives in order to bifurcate the populace in order to feed their agenda, which is attention. Energy flows where attention goes. We're going to take a quick break, and then I want to talk to you about my actual theory, now that we've gone through right-wing and left-wing fuckery ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Let's take a pee break. You need to eat some pizza, and then I want to actually talk about my theory, and we'll wrap it up.
All right, let's do it.
All right, man. So we've taken a look at what I called in our show notes some left-wing fuckery that I'm sure everybody's very familiar with. And we took a look at some right-wing fuckery. I shied south of QAnon and libs of TikTok with good reason. I mean, that's obvious. Everybody's very aware of those two phenomenons.
Yeah, right.
And if you're not, go look it up. Go look up QAnon on Wikipedia. And go look up libs of TikTok on YouTube or Twitter, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So here's where my theory begins. All of the things that we looked at are obviously created out of, I would speculate,
fat air.
Created a big fat hot air with one very specific purpose in mind. To gain attention and to harness emotional energy. Now, I am and have been an occultist since I was 16 years old. I started studying and practicing what's commonly referred to as magic or sorcery. Spell it with a K if you want. I don't give a shit.
I thought LeVay said those who spell magic with a K aren't.
Well, he had a point, but anyway.
Which is funny though, because he based so much of his stuff on Crowley, who spelled it with a K. But anyway.
I think he's the one who might have invented that. And LeVay obviously loved Crowley.
No, I know.
So if something is going to immediately grab your attention because it grabs your emotions, It therefore automatically harnesses your emotional energy. It's kind of like, and I've said it before, pro wrestling, going to a concert, enjoying that concert with friends, going to a protest, booing something that you don't like with friends. There's a harmonious
cheering the opening credits of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, despite the fact that the movie can't hear you.
Yes, I love that. I thought that was a beautiful.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a great showing of respect. I was just bringing it up.
Great showing of respect for a true piece of art. The original Lord of the Rings trilogy was fucking magical. Peter Jackson did a great job. And by all on paper, he was way out of his depth. You look at what he did before.
Oh yeah, because what was right before that was like what was that? Dead Alive?
Yeah.
Brain dead for our European viewers.
So if something captures the populace's attention through their emotions, through their gut, it bypasses any intellect they may or may not have. It's predicated upon...
It's like burning your hand on a stove. It goes straight to your spine instead of sitting there and actually processing through your brain.
You pull your hand away before your brain says, ooh, that's hot.
Yeah.
If people didn't have a blinking mechanism, most of us wouldn't have eyes. You blink when something's coming at your eye before you realize something's coming at your eye. So they're bypassing any free will you may have by creating...
Well, they're bypassing cognition.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're creating an emotional climate, almost an astral climate of polarization so that they can more easily pinpoint how to catch you by your emotions and utilize that energy. It really is a form of psychic vampirism because who gets all the energy? And once again, I said it, I believe, first, but perhaps Joe Rogan said it better. Politics is a lot like pro wrestling, he said.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you root for, the same people are making all the money. It's the same thing here. You're paying attention to them. You're emotionally invested in them. Who has the power?
No, I gotcha. And the funny thing is that they can just cycle that over and over and over again.
Over and over and over again. And every time they cycle it, it becomes magnified. It becomes more polarized. You need two poles to create an energy flow. They're creating an energy flow, and they're vampirizing it. Now, David Icke may be a fucking wacky conspiracy theorist. He may not be. Maybe Ralph behind me is just a mannequin that we made because we thought it was funny. Or maybe he's the fucking Lizard King, and he is trying to take over my soul. I don't know.
I thought Jim Morrison was the Lizard King. That's what enabled him to do anything.
I thought it was that guy from The Office.
Ah, well, well, that's where he...
what's his name? Robert California?
Robert California, yeah, played by James Spader.
Don't know.
So
you
good.
Think my name's actually Robert? You don't even know my real name. I'm the Lizard King.
Yeah.
That was such a great scene.
Oh, God. James Spader was so good in that role.
James
But anyway.
Spader's fucking amazing. So what is creating this ravenous polarization in our society? Obviously, it's being done on purpose. And whether or not you believe that there are lizard reptilian entities that are taking over the minds and bodies of the elites, it is obviously an evolutionary pressure that's being put on the human race for a very specific purpose. In my opinion, you're being forced to evolve. You're going to have to create the space in order to survive this. You're going to have to create that space between observer and experience in order to come out of this in one piece. My prediction is that humanity will not be able to do that. Here's where I think it's going to go. It's going to get far darker before it gets better, in my opinion. Here's what I see happening, and here's my theory. I think that if you have this feeding frenzy and it continues, and every time that they cycle the energy through, it becomes more and more polarized, more and more dense, greater and greater energy that they can feed on, more energy. Think about it like money. More and more money in the hands of fewer and fewer people. Becomes a denser and denser, like a fucking gravity of power that's just centralized around these people and these narratives that they are creating. People have to have meaning in their lives. That's why they root for sports teams. That's why you root for your favorite wrestler. Doesn't matter who you're rooting for, the same people are making the money.
That's why they procreate.
So if you don't have meaning in your life, and you're not capable of creating meaning for yourself because you can't even observe yourself, in order to create meaning for yourself, you have to be able to observe yourself objectively. You have to have that space and then say, ooh, you can look at your ego. What does that thing need? Almost like another human being. You can treat yourself like your own child, as the Buddhists say.
Isn't parts of that in the hierarchy of needs and all that? It starts with like the base needs, like food and shelter and all of that, and then after that it gets into the higher needs.
I think meaning may be one of them. We could look it up if you want. I don't know.
I was just curious if you knew off the top of your head. I don't feel like we need to litigate it.
But I think it's extremely important for human beings to have meaning in their lives, and it's being stripped from us.
It's
by
being
people who are
force-fed
creating
to us,
it for us. Right. It is essentially a human being's right to create meaning for themselves in their own life in order to have a unique individual experience. That is being stripped away from us, them, by their own free will. They are allowing it to happen. And I think if you end up in a life without meaning, and you are allowing other people to create that meaning for you, so you feel like you have something to live for, you can participate in conscious energy without being conscious. You can get that thrill without creating anything for yourself, your own thoughts, ideas, opinions that are based around your own feelings and emotions and needs.
Yeah, it becomes
not the needs of others.
It becomes a vicarious experience of meaning.
They are living their lives vicariously through a narrative that isn't even real, that's created specifically to capture their attention and their energy.
And that is made in no way to benefit them.
No, it's meant to subjugate them.
Exactly.
Now, with everything that we've looked at with the left-wing fuckery and the right-wing fuckery, I'm going
Dual fuckery.
I'm going to unapologetically state where I think we're going. I think that if things continue on this course, it is inevitable that we will end up in some sort of quasi-right-wing fascist dictatorship.
Sure. No, I can understand where you'd be coming from with that viewpoint.
Okay.
There's actually been, like, across the globe, the very flat globe, there has been there has actually been a lot of democratic backsliding, and most sociologists and political scientists and stuff attribute it to just the fact that governments have become so bogged down that they're ineffectual, and so people are starting to feel like that there's no purpose anymore. And I think that that's kind of like...
What do you mean by bogged down?
Well, so for instance, you sit there and you look at the Obama era, and there was such a cry to stop him from instigating any of the change that he promised that they literally would not bring anything to a vote in the Senate just to block what he was trying to put through. They're intentionally obstructing each other. Both sides of government are just, it's deadlocked. The Senate gets deadlocked.
Well, they're playing power games with each other rather than attempting to govern for the benefit of the nation.
Yeah, that's obvious. There's no effective governance is the point.
That's obvious. Yes. So, I mean, the only thing that they're good for is bottom-up wealth transfers.
And that's the entire thing, is that...
And that's what's happening, and I hate to say it, and I'm no fan of Putin, but that's exactly what's happening right now with the war in Ukraine.
Sure, and you look
That's what happened during COVID.
Yeah, and even in Turkey with Erdogan, and, like, there's a... Like, if you pay attention to, like, larger... Like, the larger global... political scene... you'll see a lot of these very heavy, right-wing, populist, law and order spouting people are becoming more and more in favor with the people. So it's like, yeah, it's almost like we're being conditioned to beg for it. It's almost Pavlovian.
It's exactly my point. We are conditioned since very early on to not grow up. We have a Peter Pan syndrome. and I was speaking a little bit ago. We were on camera, I believe, when I was talking
It's
about
possible.
people that I worked with that were, say, if I get yelled at.
Yeah, that was on.
That was on camera. Okay. So, hey, listen, man, you're 32 years old and you're worried about your boss yelling at you. Your boss is like 40, and even so, that shouldn't matter. Why are you scared of getting yelled at? Are you an adult or are you a child? Now, religion does this to us. Every power structure does this to the human being, and it corrupts and it diminishes the human soul. It doesn't allow you to grow up and take responsibility for yourself, your own actions, to create, which is something you have to work on, that separation between the observer and the ego, so that you can really stop being a reactionary mechanism and be an acting, autonomous being, not an automaton.
No, yeah, and I would say that what it seems like they've done is they've made, because religion is falling out of favor, and every religion falls out of favor over time.
Sure.
And
well, it almost seems like the left is trying to create a new one.
Well, my point is that I don't think it's the left trying to create a new religion. I think it's what you're referring to as the uniparty. This is the new religion.
Mm-hmm.
This is
but this isn't going to be the religion that people follow. This is going to be the religion that people, everything that you see on the left, which is nobody believes this shit except for the people that are just digging it and putting themselves up on TikTok or whatever. It like you said, like a Pavlovian, like, hey, look at all this, and everybody's reaction is, whoa, that's crazy. As a populace, everybody's the redefinition of words, the rewriting of books, the rewriting of history. And I'm not saying Columbus was a great guy. I'm saying the rewriting literally of 1984. Whether or not that's actually happening, that's a narrative that's being put out. It's all a conditioning process to make people want to keep things the same because things are changing so rapidly. Does that make am I coming across right?
I think I understand what you're driving at. I don't, and I guess maybe it's just because I identify more with the, not what they do, but what they say their goals are.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
Oh, so do I.
No, I know.
100%. What they say their goals are?
Yeah, sure.
More so liberalism from, like, let's say the 90s. I was like, yeah, I agree with all that.
Yeah, and the thing that strikes me as odd about the entire thing is it seems like, not to get all conspiracy theorist about it, but it seems like it's a concerted push and pull. And it's been a question that I've posited to you before, actually, to sit there and say, do you think it's two different groups that are trying to fight for power, or do you think that it is a solitary mechanism that is trying to discern how best we would receive domination?
The second one. But there are two groups that are fighting each other. It's just that those are not people that are in control of anything.
Well, I think that
that's like everybody on Twitter.
Yeah.
The populace.
Yeah, exactly. Vox populi. Ugh. But you sit there and you look at the way they structure these fights and everything, and it almost serves as a dual smoke screen and almost like a shadow voting mechanism. Like, what gets you more riled up, this or that? Can we make you angrier about Bud Light having to do with trans people? Can we make
that was ridiculous.
Can we make you angry about Dr. Seuss being quote unquote canceled? Can we make you angry about Dr. Seuss being racist? Is the green M&M not sexy enough anymore? What buttons do we have at our disposal?
Yeah.
And it's just, and the funny thing is I think that it's almost like I see it as like a headless hydra, if that makes any kind of sense.
Well, in the occult, we call that the crown without a head.
Yeah, so I see it as like
it's a unifying principle that is pure consciousness without a deciding mechanism. We are the deciding mechanism.
Yeah, and so it's like all these tentacles are like out there like, hey, like it's almost like, I almost see it as like, here's the right-wing political structure, here's the left-wing political structure. And they're just wearing a series of finger puppets. And they're just trying to figure out which one can we get.
And
you to
over
agree
time,
with,
they're getting much better at it.
Yeah, it's really weird. And I will say that for myself, I don't think that there's like a specific person who's like, I am the mastermind of all this.
Well, I know that there is because I'm his.
Well, he's sitting next to you. I got you.
Yeah.
But I mean, apart from him, but all of that aside, it's like, I don't even think all of these people understand what they're doing. They're just riding a wave.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. The crown without a head. It's pure conscious energy without intellect.
Yeah.
We are the intellect. We're supposed to be guiding that.
But it's being stolen.
We're supposed to be guiding that conscious energy. We are not doing a good job. So I will tell people, in my opinion, or I'll tell you, in my opinion, the prescription for getting out of the inevitability of a quasi-right-wing fascist dictatorship. First of all, anything that you see as an authority, question. Stop being children. Separate yourself from your ego. Don't kill your ego. Ego's a lot of fun. I love bragging and I love getting compliments, and I'm not going to fucking apologize for it.
I feel completely differently because I'm just the most humble person I know, and I invite you to fight me on that.
I'm more humble than everybody else.
Oh, fuck you. You are not more humble than me.
It's fun to have an ego. That was fun. But you do have to be able to observe it objectively. You have to create a space. That takes a little bit of work. If you do a little research, I think that most people could achieve enough of a separation that they start thinking instead of reacting within less than a year.
And the funny thing is that you can see...
And the nice thing is, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be super smart. You just have to do the work.
And you can see the theoretical application of things like that, and even the way they structured our government. There's a specific reason for the separation of church and state. And that's basically what you have to create inside of yourself, because you can't have the thing that dictates your heart and the thing that dictates your action be that intertwined that they can't communicate with each other properly.
That's a really good point. And if we do end up with a quasi-fascist right-wing dictatorship, quasi-right-wing fascist dictatorship, I think that it's going to be deeply religious in nature.
Well, I actually think that it's again, keep bringing up Anton LaVey. When fascism comes to America,
he wasn't the originator of that quote.
Oh, who was?
I don't remember. I looked it up on Google. It's not worth looking up. But
nah, I gotcha.
There's a great quote: "When fascism comes to America, it will come in the form of Americanism with a flag draped over its knee." Now, the quote is not if fascism comes to America.
It's when.
It's when. And the reason, and so here's another prescription. You remember that I said everybody remember the 2 times you mentioned hope.
Yeah.
And how that was weaponized against people. Here's what you have to do. Lose hope. Hope and being a fucking child is making you hope that Donald Trump will save you. It's making you hope that Biden will save you from Donald Trump. It's making you hope that the next time there's a new official in the Federal Reserve, the economy will turn around. It's making you hope that these authority figures who are supposed to be taking care of you are actually going to do a good job instead of feeding off of you and taking advantage of you. Stop being children. Grow up. It's time to take responsibility for yourselves. Lose hope. Now that sounds very dark, but I promise you, if you go through the dark tunnel, there is a light at the end. The hope that you find will be within yourself. It is not in other people, but you have to lose it altogether to make that journey. That's called the hero's journey. You have to walk through the darkness to find the true light, not the false light. And it's like Jesus Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. It is not an external authority that you have to look to. You have to find the kingdom within yourself. And I'm going to go through my notes here. After you lose hope, you have to realize no one will save you. Stop giving your energy to other people. Stop rooting for them. They're not going to save you. They're here to vampirize off you. They're here to feed off of you. They're here to lie to you. They're here to destroy you for their own benefit. Pull your attention back to yourself and your own surroundings. Make your life smaller. Stop watching the news. Stop paying attention. Everything that I'm saying sounds very defeatist right now. I understand that. This is the only thing that will work if this happens en masse. Pull yourself back down to your body. Feel the sensations of your body. Watch your children. Take joy in your children. Get drunk with your friends once a week or once a month. Start a podcast if that's what you want to do, because your fucking best friend moved out of your house and that's the only way you can convince them to come back and have drunken talks with them, which is the most fun thing that we do. Do whatever you have to do. Objectify yourself to your own observation and figure out what your needs are. Fulfill those needs without letting other people tell you what those needs are while they're manipulating what your actual needs may be. The reason why we're almost certainly going to end up with or on the precipice of having a quasi-right-wing fascist dictatorship is because people can't do this. The things that I prescribed sound extremely simple, but they're counterintuitive. They don't take a lot of work, but you feel like you're giving up. I'm going to end on this, and then I want to have a short, quick, fun conversation with you. There's an ancient ritual called the killing of the king. This ritual was invented on a chessboard. And this is where, when no other move can be had, the king sacrifices himself. It's called the killing of the king ritual. By inaction, the king is destroyed. Here's what happens when the king is destroyed. When you stop fighting, the game has to reset. There's nowhere else to go. Does it sound like giving up? I understand it sounds like giving up. I understand that when you go to Trump rallies or you post your TikTok videos with your blue hair, God bless you. I used to dye my hair too when I had some. I know,
those were the days.
Those were the days. I know that you feel like you're doing the right thing. You're speaking truth to power. You are playing directly into their hands. The best thing that people could do right now is what I prescribed. Focus on yourself, your own happiness, mindfulness, live in the moment, make your life smaller. Stop giving them your energy. Create a bubble around yourself and your world. Learn how to stop having your energy drained from you. And the better you become at that, stopping the leaks, the more you can expand that energy. It's a learning process, but you have to start off very small in order to learn how to stop the leaks. Your energy has to be very close to you, your children, your family, your job, your home, your yard. Rake some fucking leaves. Learn how to enjoy that. And then once you can stop all the leaks, when you made your world very small, see if you can get a little bit bigger. But stop the leaks. Once you got all those leaks stopped, and then expand and expand. But you have to be cognizant of when somebody's fucking draining your goddamn energy, because that's how they're doing all of this. It's not us. It's the people that are benefiting from using our attention, using our power to create power and wealth for themselves. We're being hijacked.
And we need to increase the unemployment rate.
Obviously, that would help everybody.
Oh, of course. Except for all those unemployed people, but...
So I know that got pretty dark. Let's say I'm right. Let's say it's inevitable that we're going to have a right-wing dictatorship. Who do you think would make an excellent right-wing dictator? I'll go first.
Okay, good.
You want to go one for one?
I mean, we can if you want. That's fine.
All right.
I don't know. In all honesty, this is going to be a tough one for me to answer.
All right. I think...
Because we're talking beneficial, like not who would do well at the job.
Oh, no, I just mean fulfill the role.
Oh, okay.
Like, ideally, like an imagination.
Okay.
Like, who is alive? Like Hitler, obviously, he did it. I'm talking about who is alive today. Okay, and the way I imagine this dictatorship, it would be a benign police state. It's generally benign. but it's definitely a police state.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
No,
so it's not like we're killing people like Hitler did. It's a benign police state. Like a little bit better than China.
So just basically like a friendlier 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. With a very clear leader. Who's not just Big Brother, he has a name, or she. It's probably going to be a guy, let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't really see a lot of right-wing people voting a populist in who's a woman. I mean, in all honesty, if you could get that, like, that would be the way to go, because then you could get the progressives and the conservatives in on that, you know?
You might have a fucking point there, man. I never even considered that. Holy shit.
Oh, you get like a Margaret Thatcher type person in there, you know, the Iron Lady.
You might have a fucking point. Okay, here's my first candidate for right-wing dictator.
All right.
Of the United States of America. Alex Jones.
We'll have to ask him about that later.
He's not even really right-wing. I just wanted to say that. I thought it'd be funny.
But yeah, no, I would say that he is, I mean, more capitalist than anything. I don't think that there's like an allegiance that his philosophy seems to run.
He just hates people that are in power because I think he wants to be in power.
I mean, considering the fact that he blatantly lies about a lot of shit, yeah. I mean, he's milking the system as much. I'm not saying.
Oh yeah, as much.
But yeah, he's milking the system as much as anyone else.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh no, and
he's wrong about a ton of shit too.
Well, my point is whether he's right or wrong. There's evidence of intentional manufacturing.
But do you think? Yeah. But do you think he could fulfill the role?
Sure, I think that. See, and I guess that's actually the harder question to this is who do you think that both sides would get behind? I think that's why the woman might be the thing.
It has to be the type of person that will capture people's imagination enough that they go along with it. You know, and what's the title of this pocket? Crossing the Rubicon. It has to be the person that you imagine leading the Roman army across that river.
Yeah.
And turning into Caesar. Okay, the first Caesar overthrows the Republic, turns into a dictator. Who in your imagination is riding that horse across the Rubicon with an army behind him?
The funny thing is he's not right wing, and he caused so much but the amount of momentum that he had, I feel like if he had played his cards differently, I think Obama probably could have carried some of that. Just because he was so charismatic.
He's I think he's a little too milquetoast.
I think he ended up being milquetoast through action, but my point is, like, if all we're doing is giving it over... Really?
Yeah, he didn't capture my imagination that heartily. I know he did a lot of people. They were into the hopey changey thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing...
I thought he was a very eloquent speaker.
He's a very eloquent speaker, but we need somebody who's bombastic. We're talking dictator, not president. And I'm not talking Trump either. That's just craziness.
Yeah, he's too much bluster.
That's too much bluster. I mean, I watched a thing with Donald Trump. I had a sales job at the time. Donald Trump was giving a speech before he was elected. I was in a McDonald's in between sales calls.
Okay.
And I'm eating a cheeseburger, and they have a TV on with him giving a speech at a rally. But the volume's turned off, and they have closed captioning on.
Reading his, oh my God.
I watched it for an hour and realized he never says anything.
Yeah.
Do you like how I did the Trump thing there?
Yeah.
Never says a fucking thing. Get a transcript of any of his rallies. He fucking says nothing. I don't know how you turn the volume on and all of a sudden he's making points.
It's all tonality.
Who?
Somebody actually brought this up. I forget who it was, but they sat there and they said that if you sat there and used your iPhone in text mode and you have the predictive text pops up.
Yeah.
If you just sat there and you start with a word that's got something to do with politics and just keep hitting the words on the predictive text, you'll basically be writing a Trump speech.
I gotta try that. That's funny.
Yeah, it turns out pretty funny.
Idea. Yeah. Oh, have you tried it?
Yeah, it turns out pretty funny most of the time.
All I know is he wasn't saying jack shit.
Oh, yeah, no.
But then you turn on the volume and you're like, wow, that's pretty compelling.
Yeah. Immigrants, they're just, these people, I'm sure some of them are nice. Sure, some of them are nice.
Yeah, like the only thing that he said there is some of them
Immigrants,
are nice and immigrants.
Immigrants.
That's it. Like, holy shit. But he just talked for 2 minutes.
They're pouring across our border in numbers that we never
No,
seen.
even that is too concise.
Never seen. That's a, we see this.
There's a lot of and it's wow.
People don't believe
I was
this.
watching for an hour and I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. But then I go home and I watch the same speech on YouTube with the volume on. I'm like, that's a fucking good speech.
It's funny because he is like the king of that. It's actually one of the reasons why he's been so tough to nail with anything legally is because he's like mastered mafia speech where you just make sure not to explicitly say anything.
Scott Adams said it best. Scott Adams is a professional hypnotist.
Yeah. He's also the creator of Dilbert for anybody who doesn't know.
Dilbert comic books. He said Trump is a master persuader.
Yeah.
And then he said, I'm not a Trump supporter. And then he turned into a massive Trump supporter.
Yeah, he turned on a dime on
he
that
turned
shit.
on a dime.
He kind of fell off the deep end.
But he's right. Trump is a master persuader. He's definitely taken hypnotism classes or what's it called? Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP classes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
He's really good.
In all honesty, it almost seems to me that it's a natural thing for him. Like, I feel like it's something he subtly picked up on.
Watch interviews with him when he's in his 30s and his 40s. He's really good at it now.
I mean, yeah, I haven't, like, watched a lot of that kind of stuff. But I mean, so he's always had that bravado that sits there and makes you feel like he knows what he's talking about when he has no goddamn clue.
All right, so definitely not Donald Trump, but we need somebody that captures the imagination, that has energy, that has not bluster, but is bombastic. This is the way it's gonna be. I'm gonna bring back the spirit of the people. I am the spirit of the people. Believe in me, because you're all fucking children and you need daddy to tell you what to do. I'm gonna make everything better. Follow me. That's the guy we need, or woman.
I have only one candidate in mind.
Hillary Clinton. No, I'm kidding.
No, she's a charisma fucking black hole.
Seriously.
Dude, like, talk about a flawed candidate. There is, like, that's the reason why Trump won, in all honesty, is because everybody who was on the left was even like, you're so phony.
I think.
You're so fucking phony.
Now, here's the thing about Zelensky. He was a comedian.
Yeah, and he actually played in a comedy about an actor becoming it's so fucking meta. Do you know about that?
No, I don't. That's awesome.
He was in a Ukrainian
so did Robin
television
Williams, by the way.
sitcom.
Good.
He was in a Ukrainian television sitcom as like an actor who ended up becoming the president or some shit. It's like bonkers. It's so fucking meta, it's ridiculous.
That's so cool. Life follows art. That is magic at work.
Yeah. That's fucking insane.
That's magic at work. That's why we say in the occult, we say prophecies have a way of fulfilling themselves. You just need enough people to believe in it.
But I think that the president or the dictator that you're asking for is President Camacho from Idiocracy.
Oh my God. No. Somebody that's real, that's alive today. I think we need to get out of politics. I think we need to, that's why I brought up Zelensky. I think we need to look at somebody who's
who has the charisma, who
a social activist, an artist, somebody who can capture people's imaginations, maybe an actor. I don't know. Like Reagan was an actor. He did people still.
He did a great job getting elected.
He did a great job at capturing the people's imagination.
Sure. Especially their imagination about welfare queens.
And and he wasn't even that good. So let's take Reagan times 1,000. I mean, we got to be able to think of somebody.
He was an Alzheimer-riddled sock puppet.
Pretty much. No disrespect to anybody who likes Reagan, but you know.
Or anybody who has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
There's only massive broad disrespect. It's never targeted.
Yeah, with us, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We hate all of you equally.
Oh, misanthropes through and through.
Except people who watch this, we love you.
Oh, we love you.
So come on, we got to come up with one person, man. And I didn't want to go any farther than Alex Jones because I thought that'd be funny, and I was like, let's think about this in real time.
So you have to be some kind of populist.
Yep.
You also have to be somebody that is not so out there
Mm-hmm.
that they'll sit there and they'll disenfranchise the farm workers and the coal miners and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you need
But
somebody
you can't disenfranchise the intellectual elites and the bankers and the stockbrokers
or the poor people in urban areas.
Sure.
And like say I've got it. Paul Rudd.
Is he the guy who played Guardians of the Galaxy?
No. Ooh, Chris Pratt though. That
Chris
actually
Pratt.
could
That's what
work,
I'm
too.
thinking. Yeah.
No, Paul Rudd is the ageless motherfucker who plays Ant-Man.
No, he looks weak.
But that's the whole thing. He looks weak.
He looks weak.
So you think it needs to be a strong man? It can't be a sympathetic person.
The guy who played the dictator in the movie version of V for Vendetta, you need a character like that.
What's that actor's name? He's so good.
Mm-hmm. But it can't be the actor.
John Hurt, I believe.
You need somebody who's socially active in that manner.
Yeah, I just wanted to give credit where credit was due.
Oh, sure. He's fantastic.
Phenomenal fucking. Everybody in that's phenomenal. Natalie Portman, fucking Hugo Weaving. Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And surprising they got Hugo Weaving to play that character because he has those tremendous eyebrows.
Oh, he's
and he wears a mask the whole movie.
He's such an expressive fucking actor, and that was actually something that a lot of critics, like professional movie critics, got angry about. Was like, you hired this incredibly expressive actor, and you put his face. It's like, that's the character, motherfuckers. That's how he was in the source material.
It's
but
funny.
Anyway, yeah.
It's ironic.
Yeah.
But he did a great job.
Oh my god, because he's so expressive.
Yeah.
Even without the face.
Right-wing dictator. Come on, we can do this.
I don't know if we can.
It's tough, man. There's, it's really sad that, and I think that's probably the only thing holding us back from where I think it's going. We haven't found a person that's charismatic and powerful enough to carry it off.
Yes, I mean, like, even if you think about the presidents that we've had.
They're so milquetoast.
And Ronald
Aside
Reagan,
from Trump.
Ronald Reagan was very charismatic. As far at the time.
Yeah.
But like, shit, you need like a Teddy Roosevelt motherfucker.
All right, let's go off camera for a second. Dennis, you have any ideas for a right-wing dictator?
Ted Nugent.
Oh, that's funny.
That's pretty much like the wrestler from Idiocracy.
Yeah, that's Camacho, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the best idea so far.
It's definitely the best idea so far since we've been floundering quite a bit with it. But yeah, no, Ted Nugent is very charismatic.
I don't think people would take him as seriously as they need to.
I also don't
They wouldn't believe in his vision.
I also don't think he could pull enough from the centrist and the left because he's so fucking far right.
Yeah. Well, no. This is shit's gone wrong. You're all gonna die unless you put me in power. I mean, that's what a dictatorship is. That's where it has to go.
So you're talking like Weimar Republic, bringing Hitler in kind of shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we think Ted Nugent could fix things? I guess is the question. Do you think there's?
Do you
enough
think people
who
would
think,
believe in his vision? No.
I think he's too
much of an
entrenched
entertainer.
in that, yeah.
He's too much of an entertainer.
It's a good thought though. He is
It's a really good thought.
Yeah.
Really good thought.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should leave it on that. What do you think?
Ted Nugent, 2024.
Ooh, I like it. Let's kill some animals and eat them.
Have you seen about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his candidacy for presidency?
Yeah, he was interviewed on Joe Rogan, and he was recently interviewed. I didn't watch it yet, but he was interviewed on Tim Dillon as well with his wife.
Now, I don't think that he's got the charisma as far as that goes.
No,
but
which really isn't his fault. Most of that is his voice, but also it seems like even if he could talk normal, he doesn't really have the charisma.
Yeah, because his
but
uncle,
he does have the populist.
His uncle had all the fucking charisma.
But he does have the populist views, and he does understand what would be necessary to bring the country together, which is a populist point of view.
See, and here's the whole thing, is if we had ranked voting, then maybe he might make it in.
Well, I think I want to end on that because I don't know what ranked voting means. You'll educate me off camera.
Sure, that's fine. It's a much better system of voting, but go on.
All right. Yeah, I want to know more about that. I've never heard that before.
To me, that's the solution, but go on.
Hey, did you guys realize I didn't know something? I asked a question. Hey.
Yeah, how about try that sometime, motherfuckers? You over there. Anyway.
All right. Are you up to being possessed by Alex Jones tonight, or would you like to bypass that for another night? Because this did go quite long.
Sure, but no, I mean, we've got to give the people what they want, and it is future right-wing
dictatorship Alex Jones. Good call.
We are populists.
All right.
For us.
Give me the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, for your amusement and entertainment, I will, with the power of the devil, possess my brother, Talking Head number 6, with the demonic spirit of Alex Jones. Now, with InfoWars, here's Alex Jones.
Good evening, nation. Future dictatorial candidate Alex Jones here signing in. Want to let you know about the InfoWars. And we got some wars coming up, let me tell you. We're going to exercise our military strategies, and with me as your fearless leader, those military parades, they're just going to be the best, most goddamn American parades you see. But before we can get into any of that, you got to understand, we got to sit there and we got to get this nation on track. And on those tracks is to put it on the rails. And I don't care what's tied up on those tracks, we're going to run right through it. Let's do this. All right, there was a rally against apathy, and unfortunately, it drew a small crowd. Now, let me tell you about this. You see all these rallies coming around, all these hippie, liberal, hipster, Antifa. I don't know what any of this stuff means. All I know is that these people are pathetic. But when they become apathetic, that's when you end up just not drawing a crowd. So here's what we need to do. You need to sit there, and you just need to get some fluoride into these guys. Sit there and just have them brush their teeth a lot. Drink the water. It's fine. The water's good. Dip a toe in it. Maybe your whole head. Maybe we'll hold you under. Either way,
Maybe
what's going to happen here is if we can get these people to the point where they are no longer pathetic and have become apathetic, we will have won, because we will cut down Black Lives Matter, gay pride, and all of this stuff. People are not going to attend these rallies if you bring them from pathetic to apathetic. But let me tell you what is pathetic, and that is this right here. Was the bank robber a he or a she? Now here's where we get into the breasts might be a clue. Now I'm gonna, as a fellow breast owner, let me sit there and tell you, it's not necessarily the breast that you need to look for when you're trying to figure out whether or not somebody who is trying to grab your sack of money is a male or a female. Because honestly, that's kind of discriminatory, and I would expect better from the left. Because they're just sitting there and they're trying to disparage me. Sure, I get red when I work out. Who doesn't? But it's not the nutraceuticals. I don't care what the FDA says. But what you got to understand here is if somebody is coming into your establishment and you've worked hard, you've built this business, you've got women and children working behind the counter because we sat there and we loosened up the labor laws. And they're sitting there and they're being confronted by somebody with breasts. They need to be able to understand whether or not that is a male or a female. They need to stop looking at my breasts. My eyes are up here. All right, next thing. Well, there's no surprises here. You got to understand that death has been found as the nation's top killer. Now, when you've been killed by life, you have to understand that is against the natural order. You can't sit there. If you sit there and you go to get baptized and you sit there and you get held under the water and you die, that's not being killed by death. That's being killed by life. But what's happening is instead of letting the holy water wash over you, your glorious quaff, and sit there and you let the light of Jesus into you and you die, that's fine. You're going to heaven. You've already been baptized. That's in the Bible. Don't ask me about it, folks. Ask John the Baptist. I mean, yeah, he lost his head toward the end there, but he had some things right. And what you have to understand is that I don't care what these hippie liberals are trying to tell you or sell you about any of this stuff. They sit there and they talk about guns. Yeah, guns don't kill people. Death kills people. It's not the bullets. The bullets aren't what's killing you. It's death. And I don't know, we don't need more gun legislation. I'm going to tell you right here, as a red-blooded, red-skinned, white-pupiled American, you need to sit there and understand that I don't care. Pollution's not killing you. I'd swim in that stuff all day as long as it doesn't have fluoride in it. You have to understand, that is directly linked with death. If you sit there and you take the letters of fluoride, mix them around, take away a few, add another, what does it spell? Now, if you want to avoid death, you have to sit there and you have to understand that in order to stay alive, healthy, virile, if you want to be able to punch death in the face, what do we say to the god of death? Maybe tomorrow. No, not today. Which includes maybe tomorrow. But my point is that as long as you say it tomorrow, what's he going to do? There's laws. Either way, what we got to do here is we got to sit there and get you pumped full of our wonderful nutraceuticals. They're made from 100% natural ingredients that are made by the best doctors who can synthesize unnatural ingredients on the planet. And if they can make these things for you, you have to understand that everything's magic. And you can avoid death because what's death? Death is just something that kills you. And if you take these, death will not be able to touch you. What we got?
All right, on that note, we have Glands Drink, the faux hammer.
Glands Drink, the faux hammer. Now let me tell you about this. Are your testicles feeling tiny? Do they feel like they're like little, not even grapes, not even raisins, raisinettes?
Ooh.
And if you're sitting there and you're dealing with something that you need thousands of to satisfy my ravenous appetite, then you are not swinging the hammer that you should be. Now, if you take Glands Drink, the faux hammer, let me tell you, you will be able to mushroom stamp your enemies into oblivion. I'm telling you, I'd show you pictures we're not allowed to. YouTube would censor us. It's because they don't like right-wing people. It has nothing to do with the fact that I want to show you my glands. It's not about that. It's about them silencing and censoring strong Republican American voices. Ooh. And those strong Republican American voices will only get deeper and more repugnant as you sit there and you take Glands Drink. Now, here's how the science of it works. It's filled with anti-fluoride. We had to send one of Elon Musk's SpaceX jets up into space in order to discover that anti-fluoride exists. We harnessed it, brought it back in a capsule. Men died. Good men, strong men, heavy glands men.
Ooh.
And they brought it back as a secret scientific experiment. Now, nobody's going to tell you about this because they just don't want you to know the truth. But once we sat there and we got that into these pills, we realized that instead of making the frogs gay, they all just got big swinging hammers. And so we sat there and we created a humanized version of it. We sat there and we used the Wuhan lab technology to adapt this from animals to humans. And I'm telling you, the results are uncanny. My dick is in my sock right now. I don't even know if I like that. When I get an erection, I pass out. Anyway, moving on. All right, physics predict world didn't end yesterday. Two seers also envision treasure coast boom.
That's psychics, Alex.
I don't understand. Is that psychics? Oh, sorry, psychics. I forgot physics can't predict anything. You sit there and you talk to physics scientists, they're like, oh, that's going to move this way because an object in motion will stay in motion. Well, what about when I stop? Explain that. So, sorry, psychics predict world didn't end yesterday. Now, there's a powerful prediction because you have to understand there was a distinct chance that was going to happen. Because all we had to do was sit there and look at the fact that death is all around us.
People are dying of death.
And the entire thing is when you've got an entire world that could die of death at any time. Just like Thanos with an infinity gauntlet of death, just snapping his fingers, and the only thing holding it at bay is Glands Drink, the faux hammer.
That was
It's got a double fudge flavor. Double fudge. That's 2 types of fudge. It's a delicious chocolatey drink and also can be used as an enema.
Is the fudge packed in there?
If you use it as an enema, it becomes triple fudge at that point. Let's see. Fargo man arrested for clearing snow with a flamethrower. Ladies and gentlemen, gonna tell you right now, you ever been to Fargo? They feed people through wood chippers just to sit there and get rid of them. I've seen the movie. They've got to take long drives in trucks through the northern wilderness. Terrible. It's a terrible life for a man to have. And if you're up there and you've just sat there and fed one of your friends through a wood chipper in order to get rid of them, I'm telling you, you got to get rid of that snow somehow. And burning the evidence is the only thing that's going to get rid of the DNA. If the cops come and they find you and they do DNA tests on that snow, you're fucked. 3 ways from Sunday. And the entire thing is that if, for any reason, this man was trying to cover up that death by blowtorching that snow, I say more power to him. Because you know what? That wood chipper did not kill that man. That was death.
I knew you were going somewhere with that. That was a good callback. Very good. All right, Alex, thank you so much again. I'm going to bring my brother back in a moment. Thank you, everybody, for watching the New World Order broadcast. And remember, we're watching you too.
So